Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if ANBU Naruto in Marvel Universe. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by godospartan the Kitsune and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Naruto was running for days now. He was having the hardest time as he found himself at the hands of fate. A week ago, he had run away from Konoha in hopes of finding his true purpose in life. He thought he knew what his purpose was, but after a year of solitude, of people rejecting him, pushing him aside, and tearing his history to shreds as if it never mattered, he finally decided to leave it all behind and make a new fate for himself. Naruto's whole life was holding the Kyuubi at bay from destroying Konoha since he was born pretty much. Being the son of the fourth Hokage, the greatest ninja in the history of the five nations, and his mother being part of the most distinct almost wiped out clan who had the greatest bloodline of all time, longevity, and Uzumaki, he was destined for greater things from the second he was conceived. And his greatness was achieved in time, and his accomplishments were so many and so massive a scale of change to the world, no one should have ever forgotten who he was or what he did. They shouldn't have, however, they did. All his work in the past wiped clean by the people he himself saved. From the second he was born, the Kyuubi was his prisoner, not destroying anything at all. When he grew up, he saved Konoha from the one-tailed demon and his host Gaara and helped save Konoha from the sand and sound invasion. Throughout the entirety that was his life, he had accomplished so much in so little time because those pieces of history, adding on the help he gave making a trade route with Wave Country, only took a single year since he became a ninja. Minus the Kyuubi being in him, that record of history started the day he was born and hasn't stopped even now. Years later, he saved the Sand Village's cage, he saved Konoha from the Akatsuki, all their lives, he saved the world from total disaster by winning the last great shinobi war, by killing Madara and that impostor. And after saving the world, 2 times in fact, even after Orochimaru came back in their sign of weakness, they all forgot. They treated him like dirt, refusing to let him have any good meals, any good furniture anymore, hell they even forbade him from ever leaving the village ever again, and all the cold shoulder treatment by everyone, including some of his old friends again, such as Sakura, Ino, Kiba sometimes, hell even Neji again. He had it. Naruto just took everything, all his belongings, all his inheritance he was given, and burned the village. He thought he was able to get away and finally get a better life than he was given, however, that was not the case. They were not happy. And were now chasing him through several landscapes. This Naruto, chased by his friends, would suddenly be transported into another world, but in his place, something happened that was unexpected. He was thrown into another dimension, and someone else was pulled into his place, a calling for the blonde Uzumaki ninja that would later shape a very different result to a divine presence's plans. Naruto sat down, huffing. After 3 hours of rest, drinking the last of his good water and eating the rest of his rations, he was surrounded, above the waterfall behind him and on either side of the borderline river. He stood. They were Konoha, only here to capture. Let me pass. Or I will have to hurt you all to run again. He didn't bother wasting his strength. He knew he was caught. Fighting them now would only result in delaying capture and speeding up his demise if he wasn't caught. Thankfully his blank ANBU mask and red fox-tailed cloak covered any sign of his weakness. The Konoha ninja didn't move. Just waited on him. They wanted to save their own strength for any retaliation he might have in mind. He was about to just jump down to the river below and run it out when suddenly the statues glowed gold and the bridge under him glowed as well. He was confused, thinking they had trapped him, only to see they got away in shock and terror, thinking he was behind this. Naruto just stood there, knowing it was either this or capture. And he would rather take a surprise than be captured here. In a split second, a blink of time, the light shone brightly, then disappeared. The Konoha ninja all looked and seen Naruto was no longer on the bridge. They scattered to search, but it was futile as Naruto was no longer in the elemental nations. He was now in a world completely different, a rift of time and space linking him to his new home, his new destiny, his new life. His new purpose. Naruto soon found an end to the white light world around him as the world was being recreated around him, or so he thought. He soon found himself in a desert in the middle of the noonday sun above him and the light finally vanished. He dropped to the ground and landed on his feet easily. Naruto looked around him, checking his entire surroundings and found he was between 2 statues, almost as big as the ones in the Valley of the End and with 2 separate people, but not the first Hokage, nor the infamous Madara, but 2 bird-headed men. The material they were made of was black, however, not stone. One was a hawk-headed man with a staff, wearing a huge headdress shaped like the moon, and some sort of skirt or robe. The other, well similarly dressed, was a falcon-headed man with a sun headdress, but around the sun was a snake. He was confused. Honestly, the layout of the desert was far from what he knew as familiar, and the fact he trekked through several hundred miles of desert in the land of the wind, he would know if he was in Suna, and Kumo had no sandy deserts, rocky ones instead, however. Next was the fact the statues were very strange. Whilst they were made to hold some sort of meaning, they were not part of any mythology he knew, not even of any legends or historical values. At least not in his world, as he would soon discover. He inspected the black statues and hummed. Oxidized gold. This only happens after thousands of years. I don't think I have been taken to another part of the elemental nations, otherwise, someone would have found them already, not to mention if they would have been, why don't I know them? This is weird. He seen a structure behind him, like a pyramid of some sort, but mostly buried. He sighed. Right, ruins. Respect the past and all that. Alright, I better see if any civilization is nearby. He jumped up but fell on his face a few feet away, and he groaned. Naruto picked himself up and shook his head, wondering what the hell was going on. He got on his feet and jumped again, but straight up as a test, and seen he only lifted a few feet off the ground. How can I not be waiting? He didn't feel chakra surging through his legs. He put his hands together and tried to focus, but found he could not create, use, or extract any chakra. He was powerless. Naruto felt heavier since he got here, but thought it was due to the drain on him, now he knew it was the weights he had on. Naruto decided it would be less strenuous on him, especially in this desert, to conserve energy and not weight train. He slid his cloak off and his mask, but most of all he tore the weights on his arms and legs right of and let them sink in the sand. He took his mask and looked at it. After a minute or two, he threw it into the sand and ran on foot up the sand hills. Without the weights, he found he was still pretty fast, but with no chakra, it was slower than he was used to. He made it over the dune and looked around in every direction. Nothing but sand. No water, no cactus, not even an animal. He didn't even see snakes slithering in the distance yet. Without any warning or any particular and possible direction to take based on tactics or knowledge, he blindly ran through the desert. His luck was usually good enough to help him when he needed it most, so he hoped he would find at least one person living in this desert. Naruto trudged the desert's hills, the highs and lows, the treads and tracks of every grain straight forward. Truthfully, he knew he would be going in a circle if he kept going, but that was one thing he planned ahead for during his desert survival training in Suna. He knew which way to go to stay completely on track in one direction by placing 2 rocks and walking the opposite way the curve was going. 3 days and 3 nights passed by, not a single bite to eat, not a single drop of water. He had to resort to drinking a few drops of his sweat to keep from dehydrating, but finally, he found something. It was almost noon, and he was running on fumes as it was, but he saw a group of people with dog-like headdresses. Naruto started to wonder if they were some sort of organization or secret group like ANBU. He was about to go see about them when he saw a few more going to the base of operations, dragging prison cells and what looked like ordinary people or civilian types. Some were beaten pretty badly, others dirty like they were dug up from the garbage somewhere. He knew this. The civilian types were not hostile elements. Question was, were those he figured as an organization hostile? That plagued him for a moment, but as they all went inside the pyramid base the doors closed behind them and the outside was free of any living entity. Except him now. Naruto went to the pyramid and seen it was a little small. If it was anything, it had to be an above-ground entrance to an underground base, and from the looks of it, the front door wasn't going to be the way in if he wanted to be sneaky. Usually, he didn't mind going full blast, but he didn't even realize what he was up against, so he decided to go with his ninja training. Naruto went around the thing a few times, but didn't find a single entrance other than the front door at first, but after seeing another crate of people entering, he saw, from around the corner, that they pressed symbols on the walls to open and close the door. He waited for them to go in before he went to the front door and felt for a button. Once he found it, he pressed it in and the door opened for him, and gladly there were no guards. He walked slowly into the base and seen an elevator shaft ahead, the elevator had already gone down. Naruto jumped down the shaft, catching onto the cable and slowly sliding to the bottom. Gladly, there were no guards near the elevator as well, but deeper inside, it was apparent that the reason for this was not very good. Inside a huge room was a symmetrical room with many statues, engravings, and apparently all the guards or group were there. Some standing, but others on their knees and bowing and chanting up a storm. What it looked like to him was a cult or religion. What worried him was, why was a religion bringing in people, or if it was a cult, what for exactly? He decided to look around a bit and snuck through the halls. As he did he found 2 guards that were doing their job, guarding the prison cell. Naruto decided it was going to have to be the knockout tactic, seeing as he had no illusionary jutsu. He took a smoke bomb and he threw it to the guards in front of the cell, however apparently seals no longer worked either, so the bomb didn't go off. Naruto slapped his forehead as he didn't realize the fact seals use chakra. The guards picked it up and he decided to use his usual tactic, fists. He ran up with all his speed he could muster and rammed a fist in each of their guts before flipping back and slamming a kick to each of their heads, knocking them back and passed out silently but quickly. He groaned, huffing a bit. Truthfully, he was feeling quite drained from that. Naruto went to the cell and seen everyone was okay for now. They came up to him begging to be saved. "Shhhh, quiet down, who knows when the next shift comes in. What is this place, who is these guys, and what are you doing here?" One of the middle-aged men came up. "This is an underground chamber, said to be the one used by the chaos bringers of the old Egyptian cults around 6,000 years back. It's a ritual chamber. The cult who brought us here claimed to be descendants of those long past, known as the cult of the jackal. Listen, they are going to kill us all in a massive slaughter to somehow bring about the destruction of the world in their image. Please, free us. If you free us, you will be rewarded handsomely, even be named a hero." Naruto didn't find the hero part very tempting, considering past trials of being one, but the reward and the moral obligation inside his heart to help those in need, he decided best to do the right thing, and in his heart, he knew the right thing was to save these people. Naruto looked around a bit and unlocked the cage. "Listen carefully, is silent, be swift. When we get out of this chamber, you run home. If they catch us, it's all over." The captives nodded in agreement and whispered thanks as they filed out. Naruto led them silently in the shadows to the elevator. Gladly, it was still there. Naruto got everyone on it and grabbed the crank, taking them all up to the shaft silently at first, before going with speed. When they finally reached the top, Naruto seen the door was still open and had everyone run out. He had seen everyone get out safely and sighed in joy. He had helped others in need, he felt good about himself. He heard the elevator go down behind him and looked horrified. The people he saved just trying to get away with the wounded. He thought quickly and pressed the symbol again and the door closed behind him. No time to around everyone go. He ran up a few steps. "The cult realizes you are gone, they are coming to give chase. Give the wounded piggy a back, whoever isn't carrying a wounded helps push them along to gain speed. Get going, fast." He helped a few along. He hoped that he bought them enough time. After a few feet he felt his legs grow super heavy, his breathing ragged. He stopped a moment to catch his breath, breathing through his nose slowly and softly to keep moisture in his mouth without turning his nose into an inferno. A simple trick to keep his windpipe hydrated he learned. He watched the escapees going along and looked up. It was nearly noon. He looked behind him and seen figured in the distance. "Crap, I suppose I can buy them extra time," he told them to go along without him for that reason and turned to the figures, standing up. 7 of the cult surrounded him and a man with extra jewelry and an Ajanata-style weapon in his eyes came up and pointed it at him as the others pointed their swords ready to strike. The leader, obviously, spoke to him in a foreign language. He didn't understand them at all. He wondered why he couldn't understand these guys when the others spoke to him in a language he understood. The guy spoke several other languages before finally speaking the right one. Japanese, then correct. Naruto looked confused at that but nodded. The man hummed. "You steal our property and expect us to not kill you ourselves. Who are you, pig?" Naruto frowned at that. He just stayed silent. The man gripped his spear tighter. "I asked you who you were." Naruto scoffed. "And I heard you the first time. I'm not deaf, nor am I stupid. You'll want to kill me regardless." The man growled. "Watch your tongue, swine. Now, tell us where our captives are and I will try to stomach the thought of sparing your life." Naruto shrugged at that, keeping all talk and energy to a minimum till he had to make a move. Why waste any energy he would need to fight and survive on talking to these guys? The man snarled and put the spear to his throat. "If you think being a hero is going to save you, you got another thing coming. Tell us the direction of our captives." Naruto stayed silent and still. The man wouldn't strike until he felt Naruto was for sure never going to speak of it. The man pressed a bit more, making a small puncture in the neck without hitting anything vital. "Fine, even if you did tell us, I doubt you would tell us the truth." "I believe they were heading the same direction we were, considering you are here." Naruto decided to speak up. "Yeah, they were. But you were too late to get to them. Reverse psychology." This guy figured Naruto wouldn't tell the truth about the people he saved, making everything he said the opposite they would do. The guy chuckled. "Nice try. We are faster than you think, and if they are just as heroic as you, they will be slow carrying all those wounded. We'll go west then. Goodbye, swine." The leader thrust forward, but Naruto had leaned back and let the spear fly over him and he flipped up, kicking it out of his hands and in the air. Naruto dodged a sword strike from behind and grabbed the guy's arm, slamming an elbow into his face and blocking the strike from the side as he kicked the guy from the right and he spun to gain momentum before kicking another guy in the head and knocking the helmet off, but sadly, that is where his mistake was. He figured that the spear from the leader's hands was the only weapon the leader had and so, he made the most fatal of errors. The leader pulled out a crisp knife and stabbed deep into Naruto's heart, twisting the knife and more before ripping it out and letting Naruto fall to the sand. The leader grabbed his spear and ordered his men to give chase. Naruto saw they were heading the wrong way, so his death was not in vain. Naruto blinked as his body grew lifeless. Was this my purpose? To die in a desert, saving people? There's no guarantee they will even survive the desert. I wasn't going to if I had continued on any further. Was this all for nothing? Just a stall to death. I run from my home, almost die several times, and I get teleported here of all places and killed off by evil. He closed his eyes, his world going dark. I suppose my purpose was fulfilled, redeem the elemental nations, save those people, and die. Wish I could say goodbye to the one person who always cared, Hinata. And as the sun was at the epitome of its arch in the sky, the clock for the very place he was at striking noon, his heart stopped beating and time stopped. Naruto opened his eyes and seen white. Everything around him was bright and colorless. He found himself floating in a void. No sooner did he find himself like this when he felt himself touch down on something solid, of which he didn't know as the floor was as wide as the sky. He stood straight, feeling himself orientate, although he didn't understand how in this confusing environment. He took a step forward and seen the place his foot touched shine like the sun under him and stopped. As he wondered what was going on, a figure came from above him and landed feet first in front of him. The figure was the real-life incarnation of the falcon-headed man with the sun headdress statue. Naruto figured any animal sundresses meant cult, so he got into a defensive stance. The man in front put a hand up first before putting it down. Naruto looked confused, and even more so as the man started to speak, and an echo of several languages sounded around him until there was only one voice, one language, and his own. I am not here to harm you, Naruto. Merely, to help you. The cult of the jackal follows a very old cult, indeed, but one, with a modern enemy to all creation. This enemy has been delayed, thanks to you. They will have to wait several more years before trying again. For that, you have my eternal gratitude. Naruto was slightly confused, however, he did stand relaxed. Thanks, I suppose. Who are you? Why are you not one of them? You have the headdress. Naruto blinked, but the man chuckled lightly. Believe me, the headdress does not make me part of them. It is an accustomed fashion of the old world and one of tradition. I do not suppose you would understand without a key fact. You are not in your world anymore. You are no longer in the 5 elemental nations. You are on an entirely different Earth, Earth 616, to be precise. There is a multitude of Earths, millions of them, billions even. Why the mere amount cannot be calculated to just a single number. Do you understand? Naruto was even more confused by this. Multiple worlds. Not in my own anymore. What are you even talking about? The man hummed before tapping his staff on the ground. Suddenly the world around them turned blue and multiple spheres were shown to Naruto. The man spoke again. These are Earths. Each one different, each one unique. This is your own. The man pulled one Earth and spun it to Naruto. Naruto held it and looked around it and seen the familiar shape of the elemental nations. This is where I live. The man nodded. Yes it is, but that no longer is the case. You have been transferred through space and time, dimensions and eons of the fabric of reality to come to this Earth. The man gave another Earth to Naruto and Naruto saw a vast difference between them. Naruto looked to the man. So, I traveled time. The man sighed and took the Earths away and tapped his staff again. No. You traveled Earths. Each Earth goes by the same time and each Earth is made when vast amounts of choices are taken in different specifications. Let's say everyone knew how to be a ninja, like you, they would make your Earth, whilst those who haven't decided to be ninja would create a potential world of their own. Same timeline, same everything in the past, but different landscapes, the difference in character, and more than a fair amount of different people, to be honest. Different gods, different demons, and different futures entirely, some set in stone, some that are too unpredictable to even guarantee a single person's action, no matter how small, even theft of a grapefruit by a child. Naruto was slightly confused by all that, however, he was smart enough to get the gist of it, he was in a dimension all its own, separate from his own in so many ways now. Then he understood something. This world doesn't have chakra, does it? Mine does, but this one does not, that's why I cannot use my jutsu. The man nodded. See? Those people who used to believe in you thought you were idiotic when in fact you are quite the swift learner. Indeed. All your old powers, jutsu and chakra, are gone. No way to obtain them ever again. However, this is no weakness. You retain all your natural powers, such as the strength of muscle, heart and mind, your speed with striking hands, kicking feet and running legs, your agile body, and the lean and stretching muscles, providing a wide amount of movement. Naruto nodded at that. But none of that makes a difference. I'm dead now. Days and nights, no food nor water in the desert and being stabbed in the back. There's no life for me in this new world. The man chuckled heartily. My boy, do you think you can jump the parallel earths by yourself? I had used my godly powers to pass you through. Do you believe I would bring you here just to die? Your true purpose has yet to be fulfilled, you must know this, deep down. A disappointment maybe. The man stepped up a step. A hole inside you that feels empty, devoid of satisfaction. As if what you did was not good enough. Naruto was nervous as the man came in front of him and was intimidated by the man's tall figure, standing out around 10 feet tall. I suppose you could say that. The man smiled. See, Naruto, you know you were not meant to die there, however, you as your old self were. You know the old saying, one life ends. Naruto looked up by realization. Another begins, but what does this have to do with me? The man put a hand on Naruto. Because, I will restore to you, your life. On a few conditions, however, as it always is with gods and mortals. Naruto looked to the man more. So you are a god. God of what? The man smiled. Ah, that part I was particularly interested in starting with, but I suppose understanding needed to be gained first. I am Ra, the Egyptian god of the sun and creation. The one who rises in the sky to give light and warmth to the world and journeys the underworld to rest from my time in the sky day in and day out. And I am here to grant you the power to become whom you truly were supposed to me. A hero. Naruto blinked a bit, then frowned. Ra, sir, I am honored and all, but I was a hero back in my own world, and look what happened to me. Ra smiled and knelt in front of Naruto to be face to face. Naruto, you were a martyr for them. They truly did not understand anything about heroes, and they would have made your father into a martyr as well if he had not died saving them. Your father understood this fact, and you will as well. Being a hero is not one who lives to help others for the sake of being one, but for those who sacrifice themselves for others no matter what anyone else thinks. The hero risks body and limb, sacrificing their personal lives for those around them. A hero, in heart, is one who will tear asunder the fabric of evil people, creating by being selfish, murdering men and women for their own pleasure, business, and gain. A hero fights to protect life, protect their own sense of justice and those around them, and protects their greatest treasure. Their heart. Your father was a hero. Your mother was a hero, and so will you become a hero. Just because those from your world do not see you as such, does not mean your true purpose was never meant to be a hero. Naruto was digesting everything Ra was saying and felt compelled to listen. Ra's words to him were making sense somehow, but something bothered him badly about this. How do you even know what my parents felt? Ra chuckled as he stood again. That is simple. As a dying god, I have lots of time to watch others. I watched, day in, day out, every single world I could. And I saw you. I saw your father fight in the war he was a part of, I saw him fight to save the village from the Kyuubi and you that very night, and he did so with only others in mind. How do I know? He wouldn't have done it otherwise. Naruto looked shocked and Ra walked backward. I do not have much time in this world, Naruto, so I will be brief. I can give you power, the ability to become a hero that your father would be proud to have as a son. However, there are conditions to my godly powers being transferred to give you yourself heroic power. Naruto frowned at that. What are the conditions? Anything bad? Ra chuckled heartily. None at my entire boy. See, all I ask are you allowing me to survive. The Kyuubi is in a state of petrification inside you due to the travel to this world. I can put him back to full power and let loose to run rampant in your world. However, doing that and giving you heroic powers will drain me nearly completely. I will then use the last of my powers to proceed with completing my condition if I can live and be one with you. Naruto blinked in confusion at that. Wait, live and be one with me? You mean to take me over? Ra shook his head. No, as in I will be in the same position Kyuubi is in. I will become your tenant. And in exchange, you will be granted relief of Kyuubi's torture and all my knowledge. Naruto looked shocked. All he had to do was let Ra live inside his mind as an entity like Kyuubi has all his life. No more tortuous thoughts, no more demonic hatred, just peace of mind and help from the gods. Naruto smiled at that. Gladly. I accept that. Ra nodded and raised his staff, pointing it to Naruto. This may sting a bit. Ra spoke an enchantment and soon enough the red power of Kyuubi was drawn out of Naruto till a stone statue of the Kyuubi was fully sized outside of him. Ra opened a portal and sent it through. That was step 1. Ra gasped, feeling Kyuubi gone from him was a good thing, but the pain of the extraction was immense. He was on his knees after that. Ra spoke another enchantment and soon a bright light flowed within him and burst from his every fiber of being and he felt no more pain, only happiness and warmth. That was my power. Ra nodded, helping Naruto up. Ra smiled as he looked around. I'm going to miss my domain. I had to destroy everything I had placed here so I could leave it for any new entities. Now, for my new home he spoke a final word of enchantment and he was suddenly light and phased within Naruto and Naruto looked stunned by this. Naruto looked himself over, gripping his hand over and moving about a little. He was in total control of himself still. Ra's voice rang inside his head. The transfer is complete. I am now one with you, Naruto. Naruto smiled at that. What powers did I receive? You said I had heroic powers, but never what they were. Ra was reluctant to answer. The powers I have given you are not what you may consider truly heroic, but they are heroic in moral obligation. What are 3 things that a hero needs? Naruto pouted, not really liking the fact Ra may have given him nothing at all. A way to fight evil and a way to save the lives of the innocent, that's 2. I don't know the third one. Ra chuckled. 2 are right. The third one you don't know is a way to protect yourself. If you cannot protect yourself from being killed, then how can you fight evil properly or save lives in true form? So, a way to fight and protect against evil and a way to save lives. I gave you 1 power for each qualifying factor. I will explain later. First, we need to reach where evil is most abundant, the American city of New York City. Home to heroes and villains alike, as well as home to one of the other Egyptian gods seeking justice. Now, wake up. Naruto saw his world fade and he opened his eyes to the desert he was slain in. He groaned as he got up and seen that the sun was setting. He smiled as he watched it but got up on his feet. He felt his back and there was a scar, but it was healed completely. Naruto looked around a bit before sighing. Time to go. No time to waste at all. But what languages do those Americans you aid? What language do they speak? How do I get there? Ra smiled inside his new home, having set up shop with furnishings. English. You speak Japanese, or a variant. I suppose I will give you the knowledge of languages around the world, as well as fighting styles, and lastly you need money if you wish to survive in the materialist world of the American city you are going to. I will take you to a special place, one full of treasure to buy things with. Trust me, you will require it. Naruto nodded and he groaned as Ra transferred all the promised knowledge to Naruto. Naruto smiled and set off to find this temple Ra spoke of. I just hope I don't die in this desert again. I hate the desert heat. To say Naruto's journey in the desert was boring, uneventful, and not very productive is quite the wrong statement. If going through several tombs is boring, someone needs a lesson in fun. If dodging traps and death pits is uneventful, someone needs to have a CAT scan, and if gaining an exceptional fortune and treasure is at all unproductive, then the one saying so needs to have their ears cleaned out and eyes replaced, not to mention a brain transplant. Ra really knew the desert, Naruto found out. Even if Naruto didn't think he would reach the next destination, Ra's careful instructions brought him to it, no matter how lost Naruto felt. Having a good tenant was pretty surprising for Naruto, but it actually is quite an improvement he welcomed immensely. Naruto managed to amass quite the fortune. He even grabbed a few camels to carry all the money he gained from trading the treasures he had found. In total, he had around, in Egyptian pounds, 70 million pounds. He didn't quite know why he needed Egyptian pounds when he was going to America, but he didn't question Ra's intelligence. In fact, a week ago he decided to go to the black market and have expertly forged documents, which he used to make a bank account and had all his funds wired into the system. Naruto explained he would only need use of this bank account once, and that would be to generate his funds into US dollars. He quickly had the currency shifted, and in 3 days and being told it was finished being changed to American currency, he withdrew every cent. It all came down to a whooping 10 million American dollars. Naruto took it all in big suitcases and was currently in a private plane, single use, to New York City. Naruto looked out the window, looking amazed. Planes, huh? Traveling at high speed through the sky to any part of the world, that's amazing. All we had were trains, but that was only for a few very rich civilian lands. Ra chuckled in his mind. Yes, well, different worlds, different objects, I suppose. Anyway, with 10 million you should be able to gather quite the supply of materials to start your heroic career here. I would suggest a temporary living space until you find a better, hidden, and permanent place of operations. Naruto nodded, then sighed. I don't get it though. Sure, I've saved the elemental nations a few times, helped everywhere I seen fit, but after all that, I get forced as a weapon or scapegoat for anything, and turned into nothing but everyone's punching bag. After all that, how did you even know I still wanted to help others? Ra smiled as he spoke softly. Because, even though no one should want to help others whom only hurt them, you have always had a forgiving heart. You took everything, from birth to now, every punch, every devious attack, every single thing that came your way because no one liked you, and you still managed to protect your heart and want nothing more than being a good person to others, helping any way you can. A trait of a true hero. Naruto smiled at that. He drank his soda. This stuff is pretty nice. So, I land, and I do what? Just walk out and through the airport. Ra hummed at that. You were registered as a private entrepreneur, usually richer ones will be flagged, but only wondering why the sudden entry to the country. Just say you are looking to make a new business somewhere in the city because you were interested in the American way. Naruto nodded, and soon enough he seen an island in the distance, and it had a giant statue of a green lady holding a torch high in the air, a crown on her head, and holding a tablet against her chest. He looked amazed as he seen the rest come into view past the clouds, the huge buildings packed in tightly against each other, and all sorts of lights and movement. Ra chuckled at Naruto's amazement. Welcome to New York City, USA. The city that never sleeps, the Big Apple. And a few other words and titles. This is where crime and evil are always causing unrest. Thankfully it has quite the defense, with multiple other heroes in the city, but it can always use more, with all the forces against it. Naruto nodded. They started making their descent and Naruto grabbed all his things, mostly his money. He exited the plane and, easily enough, the plan worked, since he was let through with just being a private and wealthy entrepreneur. Naruto was quick about getting a cab and driving off to an apartment complex. He parked a decent one from the directory in the back seat and went inside. It took only a moment to set a room that had everything, paying up front from his wallet so his baggage was not found out. As he looked out the window in the city he took a deep breath. This is my new home. He looked around. Many people walking around just going through their lives peacefully. He smiled seeing this. A few moments of this he went to finally take a shower. Hey, he didn't exactly get prime cleaning abilities back in a huge desert. As night rolled out and he ordered a pizza, raw suggestion, he noticed that the city was still sounding out. Cars honking still, people shouting, everything was going nuts. He got the pizza in and paid the man the money, more than asked, which Ra said was a good gesture and everything. As Naruto was eating, he heard something outside, gunfire. It was loud and sudden and he ran to the window and seen a man holding a metal object and the person he pointed it at was on the ground bleeding. Naruto looked in horror as the man on the ground lay gasping for breath. Out of complete and utter nowhere, in the sky, a man in white jumped from a rooftop, his hood shadowing his face and a cape flapping behind him. The man dropped to the ground and used the street light to grab onto, twisting and stopping the speedy fall to the ground, and let go at just the right time to slam a heel into the one man's jaw, the one who held the object, and the man fell hard. The white mystery man got into a fighting stance and the bad man got up. He yelled out as he tried to fight back, but the man in white blocked the strike coming and slammed an even harder fist into the bad man's jaw and sent him flying back. The man in white rushed to the guy on the ground, who was still breathing, and pulled something from his belt, putting it where the blood was coming from a wound the man had, and after pulling it back he got another object, which looked to seal the wound. Naruto rushed out the complex and seen the man pull the wounded man up and against the wall. Naruto rushed up. Is he gonna be okay? The man in white, who put the man down, suddenly twisted and threw a fierce punch at Naruto, but Naruto saw this coming and jumped back. Hey. I'm not a bad guy. I seen what happened from the window of that apartment building. Naruto pointed and the man in white stayed focused ready to attack for a moment. The man in white let down his stance and nodded. He spoke in a rugged voice, but full of wisdom. I called the police and the paramedics. They will be here shortly to take the man I took down to jail and this man I helped out to a hospital. Explain that to them when they arrive. I got work to do. The man in white turned to leave, but Naruto came up a bit. Wait, I'm new in town. Please, tell me who you are. Are you one of the heroes I hear so much about here? The man in white stopped and looked back at Naruto. I am one of them, yes. There are many, though, so I doubt I would be very popular or well known. But, if you must know. I am the right hand of Kitsune, the Egyptian god of the moon, and I am called Moon Knight. Remember me well, as what I truly am, and that will be reward enough for me. Naruto looked shocked hearing that, but before he could ask anything else, Moon Knight vanished, leapt off and used some sort of wire to fly up and out of sight. Naruto seen the police and paramedics come up and he explained everything he saw. After the man who had the gun, he found out the object was a gun, was sent to jail, and the man who got shot, as he heard it phrased, was sent to the hospital. He returned to his room and laid on his bed. He looked up at the ceiling and hummed. Moon Knight, right hand of Kitsune, Egyptian god of the moon. Ra. Ra hummed and nodded. Interesting. To find him so soon after we arrive, it must be fate. I didn't expect him to suddenly appear before us. Maybe this will work to our advantage. We can find him again, and when we do, we can be allies. Kitsune can only help him fight crime and have power at night if he is giving any at all, and I have given you abilities that make you formidable during the day. As a set, you and Moon Knight, both of you will become a heroic pair that can help the world. Naruto agreed to that, smiling as he hoped the best for the future. A month later, and searching constantly, he found an abandoned underground nuclear bunker of sorts, seemingly decommissioned. He also seen it was huge. With abandoned supplies, solar generators and metal crates, he smiled as he looked at it all in glory. This is it. It's got everything I need and it's very big and able to fit everything you told me I might need. Ra hummed as he looked through Naruto's eyes. He looked a little doubtful. It's a bit of a fixer-upper, that's for sure. It's dirty and messy and probably full of wild animals and dangerous items. Naruto scoffed at that, smiling more. Hey, it's either this or become a beacon for the government. Besides, I could clean this up in no time. We didn't come here to be heroes in an instant for glory, did we? We came here to help people, and we will. Just need a little bit of extra time to make sure we can do so. It took another month, but Naruto managed to do everything. Cleaned the place spotless, organized every single bit of good supplies and threw the bad away, even made the dead and live animals go away and free up some space. Heck, as every day went by and cleaning the batteries, he charged them with his first power by Ra. He found out he had the ability to store the power of the sun and use it in any way he saw fit. He created a weapon or two out of pure sunlight in solid form and he managed to recharge the solar batteries to full capacity without a single ounce of energy being leaked out through a plugged-in appliance. He stashed his money, very securely hidden, deep within the secret walls of the bunker and made everything available when he needed it for something. Naruto is quite proud of his accomplishment. He had set up ground base and it was functional. The only problem was he had no way of helping anyone without some sort of system to help him figure out when evil struck. It took a full 2 months more to get everything, computers, security system, figuring out exactly what to use to make a suit. Heck, he even had to figure out what to use. Ra's explanations of everything Naruto needed before finally rushing out to help people, it made Naruto's head spin. However, he managed everything. He got everything he needed, designed a suit he thought would be familiar from what he was used to in his own world, whilst making new things that would help him out further. When he was finally done, he had a display case for his suit and weapon and gadgets he assembled and created from various materials he bought. He smiled proudly. In the display case stood his suit, made of a mix between adamantium, what little he could afford, which made a third of the suit's armor, and gold titanium alloy, what Ra said would help any problems with the cold. It was flexible thanks to the suit's scaled plate design. It had solar-powered jet-propelling boots, which had a secondary ignition that could be used as a welder and cutter. The arms had something special, a pair of gauntlets, on the top of each of the wrists were a pocket to fire one of his gadgets, as well as the fingers having the ability to stick to any surface for a short time, meaning he could scale buildings if he wanted, and quietly. On the bottom of each of the gauntlets were snake-shaped hooks, which he tested and it works every time. Naruto's suit was kind of a copy for Moon Knight in a way. It was a golden yellow, sun-colored suit with a utility belt of its own, but it had red dawn-colored tribal symbols of Ra covering it. The head part was shaped in an ANBU-styled falcon mask that had a hood that looked sort of like a headdress for the mask. Although, instead of a cape, it had a retractable disc that he hasn't tested out just yet, but it was designed so if he was falling from a high altitude, he could glide using this retractable disc, like one did with parachute suits. The disc itself looked like the sun when fully extended. On the chest he had etched a very nice symbol. It was a falcon behind a sun, whose rays of light was hitting the sun. It symbolized him receiving help from the gods. That gave Ra an idea. Your hero alias it will be Adam. Receives help from the gods. How is that? Simple, short, to the point. Naruto hummed in thought, then smiled. I think that it works well. And with this suit and my gadgets, I will be a force to be reckoned with. His gadgets were laid around the suit. Several sets of everything disposable. He had a few canisters of tear gas, just in case of crowd control, some round discs in a perfect circle, all of which had the top and bottom of the plates able to press in, which extended spikes that made them dangerous. Not deadly unless used in a very lethal way, but otherwise not lethal, and a lot of small orbs, of which he created himself. He infused his own powers of storing the power of the sun into the small orbs, and each shone with light. He tested a few, and they had the desired effect. When smashed they generated a very bright and lasting flash of light that would be very helpful in tough situations. All in all, he found his new heroic identity and his tools to help other very fitting and very effective. He also picked a set of weapons that would help him in need. He learned the hard way back in his world, weapons were dangerous when used correctly, and the wisdom of the greatest weapon skills he knew he picked a fitting style to use. Eskrima-style stick wielding. In front of Naruto's suit were 2 sticks, made of adamantium as well, and they were actually custom made. The sticks themselves were solar-powered as well, meaning they could recharge whilst he was out and about like with his boots. The sticks were capable of firing solar light as a projectile against enemies and with a switch at the bottom, they could wither blind with a powerful flash of light or stun with a higher concentrated laser-like blast. Naruto smiled as he gone to bed. It was late at night and he wanted to be up early and ready to kick some bad guy butt on his first day. He smiled as he went to sleep. I think I will enjoy this life. Who knows, maybe I will gain some true friends among these other heroes. It's possible. The next day, Naruto woke at the crack of dawn. He strode up to the computer and turned it on, letting it run up. As it did, he grabbed his suit and put it on, fixing his gauntlets as the computer booted up fully. He checked the police reports, recent ones, and seen everything was alright for now. Naruto had installed a device in the ear of his mask and hood that would pick up the nearest police communication and give him a real-time announcement of any criminal activity. He set out of the lair and instantly zipped his way from the alleyway near the bunker and up to the top of the apartment building. He looked around and took a deep breath. Alright, first day, let's make a good impression. Half a day went by as he flung across rooftops and even tested his sun disk, which worked, and he glided very well. After making it deeper into the city and sitting on top of a flagpole near the Chrysler building, he heard his earpiece give off the latest police announcement. He put his hand to his ear to hear clearly. "This is Officer Jeremy, we got a situation at the Second National Bank. 7 armed robbers are holding around 20 people hostage inside the lobby, we need immediate assistance." Naruto blinked. If that wasn't a cue for action, then nothing was. He used his boots to blast up into the sky and use his glider to start his rush to said bank, which Ra's infallible knowledge of the area was a huge asset. Naruto wondered how Ra knew all this, but he didn't question the one helping him. Sure enough, in 3 minutes, he was on the roof of the bank. Naruto seen no one had him in their sights, so he used his boots to cut open the roof access hatch and jumped in. After a few navigational runs through the hallways and stairs, he made it to the lobby area. He took a quick peek through the top glass window above the door for the stairs. He counted 7 armed men with what looked like black masks on, with holes for the eyes and mouth. All had rifles. He looked around some more, seen only 11 hostages, but they were crowded in a group that was almost behind a corner, blocking his full view of the place. He didn't know if any hostages were somewhere else, but he did know that all 7 armed robbers were in the room in front of him. Truthfully, he didn't have to see where the rest of the hostages were. If he took down the robbers, it would be clear for the police to come in and do the searching. He didn't wait a second, grabbing a multitude of his flash pellets and instantly slammed a few on the ground as he opened the door, which gave his figure no more than a very light silhouette. Before the armed robbers could turn and fire blindly, he threw the rest of the pellets he grabbed all around them, which would give a shadow show to anyone watching, but he would see clearly as he went in for the fight. Instantly the robbers were blinded and bumping into each other, and that made it easy as Naruto clotheslined 2 right away with a horrifying force that made them fly back as well. Without missing a beat, he used the momentum of his rounding clothesline to flip into a cartwheel, which he done purposefully to clock the next guy in the stomach, and then slammed his other leg down, hull striking the guy in the back of the head and onto the floor. Before the other 4 could get a bead on his shadow in the light-permeated room, he snapped his Eskrima sticks out from his legs' holsters for them, and he sent a stunning beam into one of the robbers he saw and rushed in to jam the other one into another robber's stomach. As he made the robber bend over from the blow to his stomach, he pulled back and slammed his free stick against the guy's head and knocked him out before throwing the other one into the stunned robber, right in the balls, which made him fall over to the floor. The stick was light, and also he got skilled at throwing it against objects and making it fly back to him so he didn't lose them. So as the stick bounced off the guy's balls, it bounced on the ground once and Naruto caught it instantly. He ran up and kicked the downed guy in the stomach to knock him out and seen the other guy was trying to get out of the cloud of light and smoke. It didn't work as Naruto rushed with amazing speed at him and jumped hard, slamming both sticks into the robber's chest. The force of which sent the robber flying out of the building and hitting the ground outside, knocked out from the brutal treatment. Naruto seen the light starting to fade, so he just ran for it back to the stairwell. He got up 2 floors before jumping out a fire escape. Truthfully, he didn't want to be found out about yet. He was trying to keep a low profile, so having the police find him taking care of the robbers might not be a very good idea. He activated his jet boots and sun parachute on his back and flew away at top speed away from the bank. As he flew through the sky across building tops and through alleys, he sensed he was being followed. But how? No one saw me but as a shadow in the light mist. Who the hell could have spotted me and followed me, especially when I am in the air and flying at high speeds? He dived and slipped through an alleyway before raising up around the building he passed by and onto the roof. He seen it had a roof access and landed there, running inside quickly, but also silently. Naruto waited, ducked behind the door, waiting to see if he was followed this far or not. As he waited, he heard a zipping sound and snap before feet landed on the gravel and loose stone rooftop. Naruto cursed in his head and waited. In a moment he heard a swish and zip again, and he waited for 3 minutes. Feeling safe, he slowly opened the door to the rooftop and walked out. He looked around a bit before finally walking out in full view. Bad idea. As he was about to fly off, he heard a voice. So, either we got a new hero in the city, or you decided to change your theme. What happened to the whole moon concept? Naruto sighed heavily. He was caught. He looked back up as the man who caught him jumped in front of him, a blue and red costumed man with a design of webbing all around and a spider symbol on his chest. Ra mentioned this one. Spider-Man. Pleasure to meet you. I'm not Moon Knight, however I am like him in a way. Spider-Man hummed at that. And how so? What, you've got a hallucination hanging around you too? Naruto wanted to chuckle at that, but he kept serious. In a sense. Not a hallucination, more of an enlightened new way of thought that was given to me. Listen, I am a new hero, but even though I am willing to save lives and do what I can to defeat evil, I would rather keep a low profile. Spider-Man just crossed his arms and stared at Naruto. Naruto waited before continuing. So, from one hero to another, can I count on you to keep the fact I am here a secret? Least until I am finally public knowledge. Spider-Man tilted his head and Naruto had a rough time reading him due to the mask, but in due time he got his answer. Spider-Man shrugged and put his hands up like he was surrendering. Fine. Your secret is safe with me. Just make sure you find a way to publicly show yourself without everyone tearing your head off. Naruto wasn't a fool, he knew to gather information, and Ra told him the best way was to read the newspaper, and he knew that the Daily Bugle was hell-bent on making Spider-Man into a menace, who was nothing but a scab on the side of the road like he should become. Naruto nodded. He walked to the edge of the roof, but turned to see Spider-Man walking to him again. One thing I want to know before you jump off and go to the next rescue. I understand you being a hero, and every hero with a mask also has an alias. Mine is Spider-Man, which you already know. I want to know who you are. Naruto turned on his sun disk on his back and looked to Spider-Man more. Adam. He who receives help from the gods. That is what you can call me. With that he turned and blasted off into the sky. Naruto looked to the watch on his wrist he bought and seen it was the afternoon. If nothing else happened today, he could go through one more round of saving people before getting some shut-eye. He did manage to stop a few minor thefts. Every time he seen a small group or just one person with a gun robbing a place of person, he threw down some flash pellets and beat them into unconsciousness and let the people who really owned the possessions or money get it back and called the police. As the sun was setting he returned to base and went in, locking the doors as he did. He took his suit off and put it in the case, stretching his aching muscles. Who knew being a full-time hero in this world during the day was so tough compared to being a ninja in my world? Ra was impressed though. Naruto didn't waver a single inch due to his tired body. He voiced that impression. You did amazingly. Even though you had a few aches and pains during the final stretch today, you still kept strong and able. Sleep well, you earned every single second of your rest. Sleep in if you wish, not much happens usually when the sun rises. You can catch some more rest for this amazing first day. Naruto smiled as he turned his computer off. Thanks. So, who else may I run into during my time here? I may need the names of everyone before I try and attempt the usual, may find myself not as stealthy when I am flashing pellets everywhere. Which he knew he had to make more soon. Ra hummed out a bit before giving a list. Naruto was quite impressed with the vast numbers and names that were given. He was told some were ordinary people, living ordinary lives, and just pick a costume up and run out to be a hero when the call of duty is put out, others who are heroes 24/7, and others who, although are not heroes for vast amounts of time, are not normal by any means, which is a category Spider-Man is in, he was told. Naruto awoke the next morning, near 10 he figured, as he started up his computer. He instantly began working on files that Ra wanted him to create for each hero and what Ra knew and didn't know, and how they all fit in. After that he seen the time was 12:15. Time to move. He put his suit back on and rushed out into the time of day. As he flew through the skies, he seen another hero, one he did not expect to be out at this time of day. He sat down and looked up at a building 10 floors higher than his own and seen the one hero he really knew he had to speak with. Moon Knight. Moon Knight dropped down onto the same roof as Naruto and walked up to him. You're not exactly keeping a low profile. Flying around isn't going to be as invisible as you may think. Naruto turned to the city, trying to play his cards right so he didn't come off as someone looking to partner up. Maybe if he just stays himself, he could win a friend. Maybe not, but it sure beats running around. Least for the while. Unlike you, I don't got a jet. Moon Knight crossed his arms. But from what you do have, I would say you aren't exactly a hobo. Meaning you got some money. So why not use it to get around without being seen? Like a motorcycle. Naruto looked to Moon Knight and shrugged a bit. Hey, not everyone knows how to drive. I still can't fathom how most modern technology works. Oops. Now he did it. Moon Knight would figure out the meaning behind that sentence in a single second. He did and Moon Knight walked up to Naruto. You're telling me you're not smart enough to understand modern technology, yet you have boosts that can propel you in the sky like Iron Man. Let's not forget your stunts around the city, there's nothing capable of lighting an area up in smoke and light like you have made. How do you even know all this if you don't even know how a motor works? Naruto scoffed and turned away, walking to the edge of the building. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Hell, I doubt you have an Egyptian god telling you how to fight crime. Naruto seen it, Moon Knight's eyes widened and he stiffened, as if stunned. Naruto had turned just as he finished the sentence and seen the effect of it. He hummed. You do, don't you? I see. Interesting. See, my Egyptian god is kind of in my head, living as a being inside me. He gives me knowledge, wisdom, help. The only reason I have these boots to propel myself into the air is because he seen Iron Man and knew how to duplicate some boots like them. But there's something else. I am not from this world. My god. He teleported me from my other dimension and brought me here. In my old dimension, we don't have cities that can be seen for miles, we don't have cars, planes, motorcycles. We barely have trains. Naruto stepped up to Moon Knight. My god, Ra, the Egyptian god of the sun, brought me here, saving me from dying in my world, from dying in this world, to help save innocent lives, to be a hero, a selfless bringer of justice. That's why I am here, with what I have, and not no modern technology. If you want to tell me I should go to the loony bin, then go ahead, but I will never stop trying to save lives. Moon Knight let it all sink in before he sighed, nodding. I believe you Egyptian gods can be a pain sometimes, but they are very helpful. My own, Khonsu, helps me fight back against tyranny and evil, but doesn't quite give me knowledge on how to do so. He's just a motivator. But I understand. So, Adam, I will let you be the day hero, and I will handle the nights. As fellow justice bringers and the right hands of gods, we can help this city more than separately able. Let us work together. What do you say? Naruto seen Moon Knight hold a hand up and Naruto clasped it in his own. For the good of the world and for our growing bond. Go and rest, I will handle the rest out here today. Moon Knight nodded before walking off and flying out of the vicinity with his grappling hook. Naruto smiled. Well, seems we made one friend. Let's see if our work can speak for itself to make more. Naruto ran and jumped off the building himself, but fly into the sky to race towards the nearest incident. Seemed he would have his work cut out for him with a fire. A few streets away. Naruto was suiting up for action once again. It has been a week since he first came to New York City and met with Spider-Man and Moon Knight. Since then, he has started collecting a lot of data about major evils around the city. He was especially fearful of some of the rogues for the other heroes. I mean, who in their right mind would inject themselves with something to make their skin fall off and their skull red? I mean seriously, who would follow someone who wants to look like a walking dead man? Ra hummed at that question. You have a point, but it is not always about looks, they can deceive. What is truly the factor of his following is his charisma and ruthless attitude. He doesn't stand disloyalty and he doesn't stand aside when someone stops his goals. He is focused, determined, and that is one of many qualities a good leader must have. Naruto hummed at that as he fitted his gauntlets on his wrists. You got a point. I mean, look at Captain America. Iron Man shows the same, but apparently he has been very busy making the non-registered heroes register against their will. I thought the law wasn't passed, so why is he doing this again? Ra sighed at that statement. I truly do not know, but whatever is driving him, it is unhealthy. I fear we will need to fight him at one point if we keep fighting evil without being registered. It would already be problematic since records of your existence do not exist, period. To register is to go to jail or a mental institution because even if we tell the truth, there is no evidence of it. We can't register, and if we don't, we may very well have to fight Iron Man and his SHIELD agents. Naruto came from his bunker and started to the city, the sun setting on this day. Being a hero under the power of the sun, one would think he would never go out at night, but the reverse is still true to Moon Knight. Even if he is a hero of the night, he still is active during the day. This was Naruto's night to show Moon Knight what he was capable of. To show he can be trusted, to show he is a real hero. And, he wanted to be a partner to Moon Knight, start making connections, but he didn't know how long until Moon Knight would trust him in a fight. Naruto used his agility to climb up the buildings in the city, staying in the shadows as he did, and soon enough he seen Moon Knight standing on a ledge, watching over Hell's Kitchen. Busy night. Moon Knight turned to Naruto, his arms crossed. You could say that. But you better be ready. I don't know what you can do, your activities are a mystery to even the criminals you bring down. I heard the chatter, though, you've been dealing with bringing a criminal organization down. Newly risen, too. Naruto stood by Moon Knight as they looked over the crashes of bottles and tires screeching. 3 days ago I heard about someone called the Kingpin, and by all I know he is one evil criminal overlord. Never directly involved in criminal activities, but he runs a business that has under the table illegal activities. Theft, extortion, murder, shall I go on? He's only a man, nothing special about him. Why is he still in business? Moon Knight sighed. The Kingpin is in jail. Or, at least, the one who's really dangerous. Your information is spot on with the man known as the Kingpin, but this new criminal government spotting up in Hell's Kitchen is not his. It's a new Kingpin, someone else entirely. Whatever you stirred up has this guy desperate. He's been turning stones, gaining allies, this won't be easy. Then there's this hostile takeover. It's been going on for a few hours. The Hood, the new Kingpin against a hand. It sounds pretty bad. Whatever Daredevil is going through right now is not easy. Naruto looked to Moon Knight as he started walking back from where Naruto came. Speaking of him, where is he? From what I hear, he is not one to sit back when this place has active crime going on. Moon Knight turned to Naruto, tilting his head. The real Daredevil is in jail, Iron Man saw to that. Another hero is taking his place to help get him out. He's inside the hand, we haven't heard from him in a while. Naruto was puzzled by this. Another hero is taking on another hero's mask. That's a bit strange. Why would they do that? Moon Knight crossed his arms and looked at Adam sternly. The real Daredevil is a very trusted friend, someone who's helped me out of countless situations. He's also one of the strongest hand-to-hand combatants we have, and he is only being held for not revealing his true identity. Iron Man's secret war against non-registered heroes is costing the city more than we can afford. The less allies we have to fight back against people like the Hood, the less of the city there is to save. Jennifer has been trying feverishly to get Daredevil out of jail and fight back against Iron Man's policies. The Civil War may be over and the Registration Act for Heroes is dismissed, but Iron Man is not about to let it go, thus why Daredevil is even needing an alibi. Maybe we can get some information to help Jennifer's case here, catch the Hood. Any information leading to the real Daredevil not being Daredevil at all right now is a blessing. Naruto hummed at this. Then the name Moon Knight mentioned came to mind. Who's Jennifer? Another attorney? Moon Knight shifted a bit, taking a deep breath and sigh. You need to learn who's who here. There is so much going on that if you are misinformed you'll be a corpse within the month. Jennifer Walters is a very respected attorney. She's also the cousin of one of the greatest heroes, one who is no longer here. The Hulk. If you don't even know him, then don't bother coming into Hell's Kitchen. Naruto had to admit, Moon Knight was pretty strict here. Since he first got to New York and since he first met Moon Knight as a dom, Moon Knight has been getting busy. Moon Knight has been taking Hell's Kitchen a bit more personal lately, and he can see why. Though, that didn't mean Moon Knight thought any less of him for being a new hero, just one who didn't know everything. Yet. He did, however, know the Hulk. Ra was kind enough to give him a lot of old visions of battles past from many heroes. The one you guys sent into space. Big, green, angry. How is Jennifer anything special from her cousin being the Hulk, is it genetic? Moon Knight hummed at that, a bit impressed actually. He figured Adam would only know Hulk by name and a little battle here and there. To know exactly who and to show knowledge of their sending him into space, it was obvious Adam was smarter than he let on. Moon Knight shrugged as he crossed his arms again, leaning back on his back leg. No, but she did gain his abilities. Once. She was known as She-Hulk, but Iron Man, during that damn Civil War, stopped Jennifer from fighting him. She was on his side at one point, but when Captain America died, he betrayed her, taking away her ability to transform into She-Hulk. Naruto was very confused by that. Okay, so Iron Man basically stops her from becoming She-Hulk, I can understand that perfectly, but what the hell do you mean Captain America is dead? He's still alive by all I hear about him. Moon Knight shook his head. Another example of taking on another mantle. The original Captain America died during the Civil War. His protege, Winter Soldier, took on the mantle of Captain America to keep inspiring hope in the eyes of the city civilians, to show Captain America's ideals of freedom are not dead. Though, I do wish we had the original back. He was a good friend for a long time. Naruto looked down a bit. Sorry, I keep making you think about your friends being taken from you. The original Daredevil's imprisonment and the original Captain America dying. I know I am not as smart to know everything about everyone, but I am still trying. Moon Knight took a breath before turning. Well, we will see how much you can learn from the Hood and the new Kingpin tonight. Cause we are taking them down. You already stirred up the hornet's nest with the new Kingpin, but he and the Hood are partners. Their hostile takeover is wrecking the kitchen and we have to stop it. Let's go. Naruto nodded and they went to town on Hell's Kitchen. As they swept past the first two hot spots of thugs, Naruto looked around a bit as he followed Moon Knight. Isn't this Hood's territory? Where are all the thugs? I don't see any. Moon Knight dropped to street level from a two-story building and as he heard Naruto drop behind him he looked around, seeing the insignia. Yeah, which is a good thing. We need to take out the Kingpin first. He's a block away in the three-story building across the alleyway. That's what those thugs said anyway. Expect heavy opposition. You never had to deal with supervillains before and the newest Kingpin in this area is said to have hired a few. Naruto looked to Moon Knight. You don't trust I am capable? Or you just don't trust me at all? Moon Knight turned on a dime and narrowed his eyes at Naruto's. I don't trust you have any real skills in a hand-to-hand fight. Even if your suit is laced with anything like adamantium or vibranium, you will get bruised and broken. I've had to hone my skills to take down mutants like Wolverine, which is pretty difficult with his healing factor. I have no clue what you can do, all I know is you haven't been hit in combat by using stealth tactics to avoid a major fight. This time it won't be that simple, you have to fight, and if your skills are subpar, you will be a liability rather than an asset. Naruto decided it was time to stop playing nice with Moon Knight and stand up for himself. He walked past Moon Knight, pushing his shoulder against Moon Knight's to push him out of the way. Then let's get going and find out, shall we? Would you rather this data not be found and your friend stay in prison because you can't trust I am a good fighter? Moon Knight hummed curiously but followed. Naruto soon came up to the alley right by the front door of the building they were going to. Naruto looked around the corner and hummed. 10 guards. Just random thugs by the looks of it. I think it's safe to say we're lucking out. One guy is holding a rather odd-looking gun though looks pretty ugly too. Moon Knight came up around the corner a bit to check and narrowed his eyes, analyzing the guards. When he spotted the weird-looking gun being held by an ugly man his eyes narrowed even further. Bushwhacker. Guess the Hood wanted to protect his asset in this battle between Hand and Hood. Guess we're already going at this heavy. Naruto looked to Moon Knight. What's with that gun? It looks like it's attached to him. Moon Knight looked to Naruto and nodded. It is. He's a shapeshifter. Or at least a partial one. He can shape his arm into any weapon imaginable. Rocket launcher, submachine gun, even a pistol. He's also a highly trained hand-to-hand combatant, trained in the CIA a few years. We better take him down, or else he will spot us. Before Moon Knight could think of a plan, Naruto swept from cover and ran at high speed towards the guards. He was halfway when one saw him and panicked. We got company. Naruto threw down a flash pellet and lit the area up, providing cover as he jumped up to avoid the bullet suddenly flying at him. Naruto pulled his Eskrima from his back and slammed them both hard into the shoulders of the guard he was seen by. He kicked the guard to the side, making him slam into the wall before jumping out of the way of the other guards firing their guns. As he ran around them, Moon Knight sprinted forward as well, coming in on another guard and jumping, sending a flying sidekick into his head, knocking him out and against another guard. Moon Knight ran up a few steps before kicking the fallen guard's head as well and grabbing 2 of his moon darts and throwing them at the farthest guard. As Moon Knight turned to see Bushwhacker, seen the man change both arms into massive machine guns and start firing. This caused the Knight hero to jump up and back, kicking off the building to flip over Bushwhacker. Naruto grabbed the last 2 guards by the heads and slammed them together as he flipped over them, dodging their own fire. As he landed he seen Bushwhacker stop firing up at Moon Knight, who was landing behind him, and turn, swinging hard at a now rushing Moon Knight. Moon Knight ducked under the massive gun coming for his head, but didn't get to block the knee to his shoulder and the kick to his gut, pushing him to the side. Moon Knight rolled on his side and flipped back onto his feet, looking up at Bushwhacker. The spiky-haired man with sunglasses and smoking a cigar grinned as he pointed one gun at Moon Knight and the other at Adam. Ah, we figured you'd show up sooner or later, Spectre. You just couldn't resist taking down the newest kingpin in order to find some sense of honor after your run-in with the Black Spectre. Didn't Iron Man put you in jail? Moon Knight narrowed his eyes and Naruto gripped his Eskrima. Naruto chuckled a bit. I see. You're no slouch in hand-to-hand combat if you can hit Moon Knight. But you know, I am not one to mess with, Bushwhacker. Bushwhacker looked to Naruto and looked confused. He looked over to Moon Knight. You got a sidekick or something you nut job? What, this guy your daytime pal? Had to get a matching set huh? Bushwhacker turned to Naruto. Who the fuck are you Sonny Jim? Naruto started walking forward. The name is Adam, the incarnation of all that is light and warm, the one who is chosen by the god of all things, Ra. And I am not someone's sidekick. This is my sidekick. Adam ran forward at Bushwhacker, who fired his machine gun arm. What got his and Moon Knight's attention was that the bullets hit Adam and slid to the side, being deflected off him like a force field would. Moon Knight's armor was capable of deflecting gunfire, but it ricocheted off him, not deflect. As Naruto got in close, Bushwhacker swung his arm aimed at Moon Knight to hit Naruto, and it did. It hit against Naruto's head, but stopped short, hitting the force field of energy around him. Naruto rose his leg up into a sidekick and slammed it hard into Bushwhacker's ribs, making him stagger to the side and holding his now broken ribs. Naruto walked up to Bushwhacker. What? Didn't think I was a challenge for you? Well you are wrong. Bushwhacker got up on his feet and swung his arm out hard, but Naruto ducked and spun backwards and sent a harsh side kick into Bushwhacker's stomach, sending him into the building behind him. Naruto ran up and jabbed his Eskrima in Bushwhacker's chest and zapped him with a taser until he passed out. Naruto looked to Moon Knight. Isn't your suit capable of stopping his bullets too? Moon Knight narrowed his eyes. Ricochet them off me, but not deflecting them off. What are you, magic, mutant? Even my god Kansu didn't give me the ability to deflect attacks and bullets. Naruto crossed his arms in front of him. Because you were born here. I told you, I was brought here. Ra had the ability to give me 3 powers and helped me accumulate a large sum of money. One power is this, the defensive power, the barrier of Mihin. At night, I am protected by this barrier. Nothing can hurt me, but a strong enough force can knock me down if it is stronger than I am. Bushwhacker just has enormous arms to swing around, so it didn't hurt me much. Moon Knight hummed at that. And these other powers of yours. If you want my trust, then stop keeping secrets. Naruto nodded, but sighed. I only know of one other power. The manifestation of the sun's energy, my offensive power, the creation of Ra's energy. Using the energy of the sun when I absorb the solar radiation, I can manifest anything I desire. Barriers, projectile weapons, even hand-to-hand combat weapons. But this energy runs out like any battery. I can recharge using the sun's radiation, but not during the night. Moon Knight hummed at this, thinking it over. It would explain how he was able to create those flash pellets, they were like the sun itself suddenly sporting up in thin air. And your suit. Naruto rubbed his gauntlets. I'll tell you about it later, I think we need to get moving now. The new Kingpin would have heard the gunfire. All I can tell you is it is adamantium fused with gold titanium alloy. Moon Knight narrowed his eyes again. Iron Man's suit is made with that material. Why pick gold titanium? Naruto shrugged. Ra said it would help deal with cold temperatures. Personally, I'm fine with my solar energy, keeps me warm. Before Moon Knight could retort and start heading for the door, he heard a rumbling sound from within it. Naruto did as well and turned, getting ready. Suddenly, the front of the building was broken open by a huge ball of brownish-red scales and a yelling Dillo. Naruto looked in horror as the thing came down on him. The large rolling ball slammed him into the pavement and hopped off him, uncurling into a rather large armadillo-shaped man. He looked back and huffed. Guess I crushed your partner there. He looked to Moon Knight and snorted. Moon Knight, huh? Guess Bushwhacker is getting soft. Naruto pushed himself up, shaking the dirt off him as he stood. Alright, gotta admit I didn't see that coming. And who the hell are you, a mutated animal? The armadillo turned in a little bit of surprise. But I crushed you under me, you should be in pain. And I am Armadillo. I am a mutant, but not just some animal. Naruto popped his neck a bit before getting into a fighting stance. Well then, you might actually be a challenge to me. The name is Adam. Naruto rushed fast and jumped up, flipping to kick at Armadillo's chin. Armadillo caught Naruto's leg and threw him at Moon Knight. Moon Knight jumped out of the way and took out his 3-part staff, clicking it all together before racing forward as well. Naruto flipped and landed on his feet after bouncing off the pavement once and rushed in again, this time activating his gauntlets. He drew 2 of his Sun 6, clicking the middles in to make the spikes protrude out and attached them to the top of his gauntlets. Moon Knight clapped his staff on the ground and vaulted over Armadillo, who swung for him with a vicious jab. Said jab sunk his claws into the pavement as Moon Knight twisted around above him and slammed the side of the staff against Armadillo's head. Armadillo jerked a bit but pulled his arm out, twisting around and kicking at Moon Knight, sending a harsh kick into his chest and sending him rolling backwards. Naruto took this to his advantage and made his spiked gauntlet spin the discs like a saw and jabbed them into Armadillo's back. Sadly, the spikes did nothing to penetrate the armor and his strike was not strong enough to hurt the big lug, but he didn't give up there. As Armadillo turned with a rising back kick, Naruto jumped above the leg, kicking off it and activating his boots for a short burst, sending a high-speed kick into Armadillo's face, which sent him on his back. Armadillo rolled up and spun backwards before bouncing off the building and flying after Naruto. Naruto shot out his snake hooks from the underside of his gauntlets and hooked them on Armadillo's armor before activating his boots once more to jump out of the way. As Armadillo bounced, Naruto stomped his feet against the ground and pulled hard, forcing Armadillo to stop in midair. Naruto yelled as he blasted his boots again and twisted, throwing Armadillo into the street as hard as he could. Armadillo uncurled and rolled on his side, groaning from the surprise hit to the ground. Naruto retracted his hooks and rushed forward again, this time Moon Knight in tow. He looked to Moon Knight. Hit him with everything you got. Don't let up. Naruto launched from the ground and blasted into the air before flipping his legs facing the sky and boosted down at Armadillo. Moon Knight swung hard at Armadillo as he got up, but Armadillo grabbed a staff and raised Moon Knight up, using him as a bat to swat Naruto out of the sky. Naruto used what little power left in his booster boots to correct and land on his feet as Moon Knight flipped up on a knee. Naruto huffed. Okay, this guy isn't easy. Superhuman strength. Moon Knight nodded, gripping his staff and a gun. Yeah, and durable. He could go on forever if you don't take him down now. Naruto looked at the gun Moon Knight drew. It wasn't dangerous, per se, but he knew it held some purpose of firing a projectile. Armadillo ran for the two in a rage, but Moon Knight fired his gun quick, two crescent darts firing with a bolo were sent at Armadillo and wrapped his legs up, making him trip. Naruto had enough solar energy from his time in the day to create a weapon strong enough to knock Armadillo out, and did so. Naruto ran up and created a large battering ram, holding it at his side. As Armadillo pushed himself up and saw the bolo around his legs, he heard Naruto yelling and looked up. It was just quick enough to see the large log of pure light shining before it rammed into his body. Naruto sent the ram hurling Armadillo back before slamming the big villain into the ground. Moon Knight looked in shock. He never expected something like that to come from Adam, but seeing it for himself, he could definitely see why Ra was the god of creation. He stood up and he and Adam went to see he was knocked out as well. Moon Knight looked to Naruto. You're right, you aren't someone who cannot take care of themselves. You may be new here, but I see it in the way you move. Combat is an old heart to you. Naruto shrugged, chuckling a bit. It is, but I am used to flying across landscapes at high speed. Not this running and jogging I always have to go through here. Let's go, faster we get the info, the faster we go take down the Hood. Little did they know, they weren't going to see the new Kingpin, but the Hood, who was secretly attempting to become the new Kingpin. As the two fought their way past several thugs to the top floor, Naruto started getting a weird feeling that he was about to have the hardest fight of his time here tonight. Moon Knight took out the last guards before opening the door to the main operations room. As they walked in, no one was around. Moon Knight didn't see a single computer or piece of lightning, not a single enemy was seen by Naruto. It was only lit from the many windows letting in the light of the full moon. The door behind them closed and Moon Knight got ready to fight, narrowing his eyes on the one who closed it. Mask. Naruto turned to see who Moon Knight was referring to and had to do a double take. It was a woman wearing a golden mask and long dark hair. She was wearing white body armor and steel padded jeans. Moon Knight, so good to see you. We were wondering where you might be. And this must be the newest hero to show himself in the city, the Sun Hero, whoever you are. Naruto was getting a bit tired of saying his title and alias to everyone. He hoped tonight word would get around about his hero name being Adam, so he wouldn't require to tell it to everyone. Name's Adam, sweetheart. Now tell us where your boss is, this new kingpin of crime around here. Mask crossed her arms and leaned against the door. He's behind you. Naruto turned behind him and Moon Knight did the same, only to see red glowing eyes staring at them from a couch. Naruto narrowed his eyes, seeing this man had some kind of cloak, red in color, and some weird boots on his feet. Moon Knight turned, standing up straight but not letting his guard down. Hood. So, you are the new kingpin rising in the kitchen. Hood smirked, standing from his couch. Yes, I am. Or at least trying to be. I'm sick of just being a fighter who has no one to command. I decided to start up an organization of crime, maybe show my superiority against the hand. As he raised his head to look straight at Moon Knight, both he and Adam noticed Hood's face flash to form the face of some kind of demonic entity. Naruto walked up next to Moon Knight. You seem to have been waiting for us. Hood turned and went to one of the windows, looking outside at the raging battle between his forces in hand. I didn't mean to, but I guess I am devious enough to not seem like the leader you heroes thought I could be. All I did was start a syndicate under me and people started talking about a new kingpin. Too bad about the old one, but I hear he's going to have a visitor soon. Spider-Man I think. Moon Knight rushed forward. Enough talk from you, you're going down. Hood vanished from sight and Moon Knight looked around. Damn it, that invisibility power of his. Naruto stayed still, just closing his eyes. He sensed movement behind him and swung quickly, his spiked gauntlets cutting into fabric. Hood reappeared and held his shirt which was cut, but nothing under was cut. He looked at Naruto and narrowed his eyes. You knew where I was impressive, but that shouldn't be possible. Naruto got in fighting stance. Maybe not, but I am someone you don't know about. What I can do is not known just yet, all you know is I took down some of your extensions for the past week. Hood smirked, chuckling a little bit as his hand started to glow. I guess you have a point, you aren't one to show what you can do, but now everyone will know. You cannot just vanish in a puff of light anymore, not against the people after you. I heard you were coming into the kitchen to find me, so I figured I would give an ally a call and he sent someone to take care of you. Mask, if you would be a dear. Mask opened the door and the Hood walked to the side. As he did, two men walked into the room and Moon Knight got ready for a fight, Naruto backing up a bit to get some space. He was actually honored, he was so dangerous to this guy he had someone send for reinforcements to take him down. One man Moon Knight knew for sure and looked a bit surprised. Bullseye. They sent you after me? But I was registered. Bullseye grinned as he pulled a throwing knife out of his belt. His bluish dark costume with a white bullseye on his forehead shining in the dim light. You broke out of jail and killed a registered superhuman, so I was tasked with bringing you down. Moon Knight narrowed his eyes again. He knew something was off, Bullseye was not calm or collected, never this focused, but his bloodlust was definitely there. The man beside Bullseye scoffed, rolling his wrist in his hand as he started walking to Adam. I don't care what he is up to, Norman sent me to kill the hood's enemy, and here you are. Give me a good fight, and I'll make your death quick. The man in a leather jacket and jeans snarled as his long mohawk flared behind him. Just as he reared his fist back, two large claws of bone protruded from his knuckles. You will die by my hand. Naruto jumped back and dodged the swift strike and looked shocked. Wait, I thought Wolverine had 3 claws and they were metal. The man before him rose his fist and let his third bone claw come out, but instead of from the knuckle, it came from the underside of his wrist. The name is not Wolverine. It's Daken. Bushwhacker groaned as he stood up, rubbing his head as he woke up. Damn, that fucking sun guy was stronger than I thought. Gah, my chest is aching pretty bad from that taser shit. He stood up and rubbed his chest, looking around. His men were either out of there or still unconscious, and he seen clearly that his partner Armadillo got beat as well. Damn, Shoulda guessed he would be a match for the big guy as well. Before he could go inside the hideout, he heard a loud crash and looked up. His mouth was agape as he seen 2 guys falling from the top floor. Oh shit. He turned to run, but was hit by something and slammed against the pavement, once again knocked out cold. Bacon, the mohawk-haired man in jeans stood up, scoffing as he looked behind him where he fell, seeing Bushwhacker. Weakling. He looked up to see Adam on a windowsill. Naruto had dodged a single punch and activated his glider, flipping them in time to kick Daken in the head and straight at Bushwhacker, and glided backwards to the windows, hitting one and letting the glider back in his suit to land on the edge of the window. Daken stood up, pointing one of his hands at Naruto, claws out to point with. You coward. Come and face me. He was only calling Naruto a coward because Naruto had tried to swerve by him. Bullseye tried to throw some shuriken at the 2 of them, Moon Knight and himself, and, as the 2 dodged them, Bullseye tried to get some distance, playing the angles to get out of range. Naruto, knowing Moon Knight to understand Bullseye was a major threat, tried to swing by Daken, take him out quick, and give chase to go on a 2-on-1 offensive. However, Naruto's attempt failed. After ducking under Daken's first swing, he slammed a palm into Daken's stomach and grabbed his head, twisting him around, tripping him with a sweep kick, and slamming his face into the floor. Whilst this maneuver worked, Naruto was not expecting to be caught up by Daken's sudden grip, tripping as Daken grabbed his leg. Daken got up and with amazing strength, lifted Naruto up and threw him into the wall, next to the windows. Daken tackled Naruto with a fierce ramming of his shoulder, the strength blasting them through the wall and out of the building. Naruto had recovered, grabbing onto the man who tackled him through a wall and slammed Daken into the street. That was about it for the 2 so far, but Naruto knew it was far from over. He could have sworn Daken hit the ground hard enough to be knocked out for a while. Clearly he was wrong, but he was not going to let that stop him from putting the Bone Claw mutant down, and hard. The god within was a little more curious about this than Naruto, and it was contagious as this new opponent was not to be trifled with if it was true. Ra spoke softly his concerns. He bears resemblance to the one named Wolverine, the mutant immortal. He even has the natural claws of bone the well-known mutant did before having encased his skeleton in metal. I fear this may be a relative or striking that a clone. Either way, be careful. The traits of this man could be the same as Wolverine and have a highly effective healing factor. He will not die easily, if at all. You may have to turn lethal. Naruto narrowed his eyes and grabbed his sun discs. Popping the spikes out and slipping them into the holsters in his gauntlets, he revved them up. You're no ordinary villain, that is for sure. You are not very well known, so forgive me for my assumptions. You have my full attention. Jumping from the windowsill, Naruto fell to ground level. Daken saw this and sprinted for him, coming to try and catch the sun-based hero off guard and without footing. This was a mistake, as Naruto used one bent leg during his fall to kick off the building and twist, somersaulting over Daken and landing on both legs behind him. Daken had nearly run into the wall, catching himself on it and turning around, looking a little surprised. Knowing he could not hesitate, needing to make sure his partner was alright, Adam closed the distance quickly, striking with a powerful uppercut with his spiked gauntlets. Daken powered through the strike and went to stab Naruto with the bone claws fully extended, and the 2 met fiercely. Daken's claws hit the force field around Naruto, glancing off, but Naruto hit full on, slicing into Daken's shoulder with a spinning spike disc and drawing first blood. Daken ignored the pain and grabbed the arm Naruto struck with and pulled hard, trying to throw Naruto to the ground. This was fruitless, as Naruto rolled with it and hopped up, bending to the side, and kicked with all his might with both legs, shoving Daken back and into the street. Naruto himself flipped off and landed on his feet once more, huffing. Truly, he hadn't expected such a quick counterattack. Getting back up, Daken stood and was seething. Naruto saw the cut on his shoulder, and it healed rapidly, closing and becoming good as new. Well, that is not good. With a healing factor that strong, this will not be a quick fight. I might as well gather information as I take him down. Standing up and getting into a fighting posture, Naruto narrowed his eyes on Dakin. So, tell me. You a mutant? Or a clone of one? Dakin scoffed hard. I'm no clone. Whoever Wolverine is, I am nothing like him. Shut up and fight me. Roaring he ran forward, his claws scratching against the pavement as he closed the distance between him and Adam. Seeing this, Naruto knew he needed to fight dirty. Dakin swung both claws up at Naruto, trying to lift him with the force. Naruto did something crazy and shot the underside of his gauntlets out, the snakehead hook sinking into the pavement as he leaned back and fired his boots, launching up and flipping with a wild double kick against Dakin's chest. It wasn't as heavy a hit as last time, but Dakin staggered as Naruto arched back in a half-orbit around the hook's static point. Recovering from such a hit, Dakin ran forward again, hoping to get Naruto off guard. He reached for the hooks, but sadly Naruto had plans for them. Naruto activated the reel, and he let himself be pulled, stopping in front of Dakin and tugging his lines free, using the momentum to ram both his fists into Dakin's chest, spinning the spike discs at full speed and digging into him before forcing them down, cutting against the bones. The force of the strike down and the pain reeling his body, Dakin was forced to his knees. Naruto continued by grabbing Dakin's head and slamming a knee into his nose, making him start to bend backwards from the force, ragdolling from the pain. Naruto grabbed his arm and pulled him up and whipping around, slamming a hard elbow into the back of his neck. Dakin slammed face first into the ground, only to have Naruto twist once more, rising a leg up high and letting the momentum carry the arch straight down to deliver the final blow. Sadly, Dakin started becoming immune to the pain from the knee to the nose and seeing the movement. Forcing himself to roll out of the way, he dodged as Naruto's foot slammed the pavements, cracking it with furious strength. Dakin got up on his feet and swung wildly, attempting to grab onto the masked hero. Naruto was vulnerable from the full body power to deliver the final kick, so his legs were locked. Seeing Dakin take a wild swing, he blocked it, but this was where Dakin started to come back from being beaten. Along with a wild swing, he jumped forward, putting all his might into this to finally knock the bright-colored hero beating him at the moment, and with a hard thwack, Naruto's block was ineffective and broken by the hard swing, and the fist hit him square in the jaw and sent him flying back a few feet. Naruto didn't feel it at all, the defensive power he had thanks to Ra saved him that much, but the force was strong enough to take him down. Dakin staggered from the recovery, getting up too fast and trying to strike way too quickly for his body to produce in the pain state he was in. Looking down he felt his wound start to close, but the rib bones were hurting badly from being cut into a bit. Groaning and holding his chest and stomach he felt his body heal itself back to normal. Sighing when it was finished he looked to see Naruto getting up, brushing himself off. How can you even be standing? Naruto rubbed his neck, making sure the punch didn't twist his neck enough to hurt. You have your powers, I have mine. Naruto was getting a little annoyed here. You know, you villains are egotistical as heck. Thinking just because you face someone before you can beat them. Bushwhacker and Armadillo thought they could take Moon Knight. Both of them at once against only him, he might be in trouble. But just because I am not well known, heroes and villains alike are thinking me to be nothing but a wannabe. Just some vigilante with a mask trying to act a hero, no real powers or skills, nothing to truly fight with. It's getting annoying to me to have to prove myself to every individual I see. I know I will be doing this a lot more, but how about you understand one thing, Dakin? Listen well, I am only saying this once. Pass it around. Dakin looked in surprise as, suddenly, a large bright light surrounded Naruto, a divine serenity pouring off him as he glowed brightly, the shape of a man with a bird head. I am Adam. The avatar of Ra. My mission is to bring justice to evil, to bring peace to the innocent, and to cleanse the corrupted. I am not to be trifled with. How people see me is irrelevant, it is what I do that defines me. Whether you beat me or not, I shall not back down. The light vanished soon after, and Naruto started revving his spike discs again. Now face me. You call me a coward for not giving you my full attention. You got it now. Before I end this, tell me one thing. What does this Norman plan on doing after killing off me and Moon Knight? Dakin was amazed by the power the one before him shone. The divinity of his presence was unmistakable, and Dakin felt the gravity of this fight's end. Standing up, Dakin collected himself. Naruto was showing him the proper respect and in such a way that commanded it. Adam huh. Naruto got close to the Mohawk mutant he was facing. I won't ask again, what does this Norman have planned after the murder of us heroes? Narrowing his eyes, Dakin got into fighting mode, ready to fight to the end. He respected Adam for his skill, his power, now. This man was not a no-name wannabe, he was just the newest of many heroes, and as far as he knew, an equal. He didn't tell me. He just wanted you and Moon Knight dead. Taking a deep breath and letting that sink in, Naruto shook his head. I see. Just a pawn in this man's game. It's sad such potential is wasted for a former villain's devious ideals of control. Seeing as I have no more use for you, I can focus on ending this squabble and helping my partner. Grabbing his Eskrima, Naruto launched into a flurry as he struck back and forth with left and right swings. Dakin caught on instantly and blocked each, but as Naruto swung randomly, one upward, another to the side, one circling around his arm, and lastly dropping on him from above, he found a hard stab of pain as Naruto stuck an Eskrima into his chest, and suddenly the tip blazed in electrical power, tasing Dakin powerfully. Not hesitating for Dakin to recover, Naruto pulled back and hit Dakin in the face with one, then the other, before tasing him again and grabbing him by the collar, lifting up with the taser stick and throwing him into the ground, driving the taser harder into Dakin's stomach. Unfortunately, Dakin had a high tolerance for pain, as well as enough willpower to power through such a shock after a while. Grabbing Naruto's arm and whatever he could of his shoulder, Dakin pulled him hard to the ground, flipping him over and making him stop the tasing attack. Getting up, Dakin tackled Naruto as he did as well, and he stabbed one claw punch against Naruto's chest. Sadly, Naruto's force field stopped him dead in his tracks, and the force was so powerful, Dakin's claws broke at the tips, forcing him to rear back holding his hand in anguish. Ahhhhhh. Naruto got up and huffed, brushing the broken bones off and slapping the back ends of his Eskrima together, making them form into one as they connected. The middles of both extended and the two Eskrima turned into a single staff, both tips as tasers. Bad move. Dakin hissed in pain, his claws broken. Doing his best to ignore the pain, he looked at the rushing Adam and tried to swing his good claws at him, deter him somehow. It did not stop the Sun Hero as he redirected the swing with his staff and twisted the staff behind him and grabbing one end with both hands, swinging hard and low, sweeping Dakin's legs from under him. Once the swing completed its full rotation from one side behind him to the other, Naruto lifted it up high and swiftly struck down as Dakin was falling to the ground and the stick met Dakin's head as he met the ground, the force from both disorientating him even worse than the knee to the nose. Naruto had to finish this and tried to by revving his spike disc and stabbing it into the chest of Dakin right over his heart. Dakin, however, was not one to easily be killed or defeated. The cutting of flesh and bone caused Dakin great pain, but with all his might, he punched Naruto's arm, his claws retracted, as to save him another set from being broken, and forced Naruto's arm off him. Scoffing and huffing from exertion, Naruto backed off, wondering what he had to do to put down this guy. Nothing I am doing is working. He's not using those claws anymore, not after the failure earlier. But he just won't give up, and even with as lethal a strike as I am willing to do at the moment, he won't stay down. Evidently, Ra had some advice to give. Whilst I am sure he is tough, he is far from unbeatable. It will take a massive amount of strength to beat him. The only to use such strength would be to create something that can do the deed as it were. The stare down between the two continued. Naruto took a deep breath to think on that. He was nearly out of juice as it was, he used nearly every bit of it with the scare tactic and he didn't know if his boots had even a fraction of power left. He needed to think. How could he get the needed amount of power for something like that? An idea struck him, but he never tried to sew such a thing before. Grabbing a handful of pellets from his belt, he crushed each vigorously, the light in his hand glowing brightly, almost like a beacon as it lit the entire area up. Once it was over, after a few seconds, he felt it. He had rejuvenated a minor amount of power. Would it be enough? I will have to find out. Narrowing his eyes on Dakin, Naruto relaxed his body. You're strong. I'll give you that. You're not one to be trifled with either. But my partner needs me, so it's about time I crush you and help him out. Time for you to see just what I can do. Dakin had no idea what was going on. He figured the blinding light was a way for the Sun Hero to vanish and try and sneak off, but when he stayed put, it had to mean something else. He felt something crawling, the anticipation and anxiety of what was to come. The look he was getting was one of confidence. Adam was about to strike with a righteous fury. He was not about to take it lying down, and he roared as he ran forward, speeding to Adam and going to just fight it out until he collapsed. Crush this. He got up close and swung a hook against Naruto, but Naruto dodged to the side, grabbing his hand. When swinging with the other, that hand was grabbed as well, and he was trapped as Naruto put a foot up against his chest. Naruto jumped up and forward, forcing Dakin to lose balance and fall on his back. As he kept Dakin pinned, he spoke softly. If this kills you, then forgive me. Dakin could only look on in horror as suddenly the rocket boots of Naruto flared to life, a large white hot flame of propulsion encompassed his chest, burning his skin, muscle even. The lift dragging Naruto in the air and he slowly burned Dakin to a crisp before letting go. Dakin was writhing in pain, the burning of his skin and muscle was nothing he had ever felt before, but his healing was starting to do its work. Slowly his skin started to rejuvenate, but it was slower than usual. He wasn't looking up to see that Naruto was above him and turned off his boots. Naruto suddenly created a large obelisk form light, forming the construct with ease. Time to finish this. Holding the large construct from the bottom, it being upside down he was on the top, he fired his boots up and started descending on Dakin, speeding up the large heavy construct. Finally recovering enough from the pain to ignore it, the numbing feeling of his body from the heat still causing pain, he looked up in time to see the construct of light and go wide-eyed in shock before it hit, slamming him into the ground, a crater forming from the weight and speed of the falling object itself, crushing Dakin under it with such power he blacked out from the pain, his chest collapsing from the weight. Naruto's power ran out just at the last second before it could fully stop, and the construct vanished, breaking away in a plume of light and smoke. His boots running totally out of power, he started falling to the ground. Opening his glider he gently eased to the pavement, into the crater itself. Walking up to the mutant, Naruto seen the blood and deformation of the man in question. Any normal person, even in his world, would be dead. But as Naruto looked on, he could see the skin moving, the bones lifting around. His body was fixing itself. Smiling, he sighed. Good, no deaths on my hands here yet. Though I think I'm starting to learn just how strong I can be given the opportunity. Ra chuckled inside his mind. You will understand that there are far greater challenges ahead. But that is for another time. I think our friend Moon Knight is still facing off against his opponent, otherwise he would have helped us here. We should get moving. Nodding, Adam started running off to find the hero of the night. It took a good few minutes to find out that Moon Knight had just finished his fight and lost. Climbing onto a nearby roof and overlooking a lower building, he seen Moon Knight bleeding out on the roof with Bullseye over him, who was severely injured himself. That pissed him off, and without a second thought shot his snake lines out to attach to the nearest high building and swung down, arching into Bullseye right in the chest, sending him to the ground and grinding him down with the momentum, standing over the down villain. Naruto didn't hesitate as he lifted Bullseye up and rammed a fist into his nose, sending his head into the ground of the roof hard enough to knock him out completely. Huffing, Naruto looked back at Moon Knight, unmoving. Walking to him, Naruto noticed not a single twitch nor a breathe escaped the fallen hero, shards of glass, clothesline nails, and more embedded around the chest and legs of the knightly hero. Luckily the shallow stuff that was only in the armor and not the man himself was the more dangerous to get out. Pulling pins and shuriken, nails as well as needles out of him, Naruto wondered if he was just resting, knocked out. Bending down and checking for a breathe, he felt his body turn cold. Moon Knight was dead. He had failed his partner, let him die, just because he didn't realize how tough Dakin was. Adam sat there, sighing and sitting down, looking at the dead hero. I should have been stronger. Although, it would seem that not everything was lost. Ra had one vestige of hope for the blonde. You still have one more power, do you not? I told you, you have three. One to fight evil, another to defend yourself. And the third four. Naruto thought on that. The three factors of a hero. The third one was saving Liv's weight. What does that have to do with Moon Knight being dead? It's not like I can resurrect someone from the dead, it doesn't work that way. Ra chuckled before explaining. Your third power is to bring back to life those who die before their time. I do not mean make people live a full 100 years, but rather if someone was never meant to die in the scheme of the gods and demons, of the entity of death themselves, then they can be brought back to life. It is no different than how doctors save a dying patient, but instead of surgical tools and medicine, you use my power of life. The living judgment of Osiris. Use it, give life back to the fallen hand of Khonshu, and show the purity of your heart. The revelation of his last power was astounding. The fact he could help save so many lives that would be lost, it was something that made him feel proud that he stayed true to his beliefs of helping others no matter the cost to himself. He smiled and put his hand on Moon Knight's chest, and suddenly, a soft glow, a pulse of light coming from him was traveling his arm and into the fallen hero. He could feel the power of life, and he called upon it, pushing it back into the man before him. Soon, Moon Knight took a deep breath and started to cough and hack out in his body's protest of being deprived of oxygen for too long. Naruto knelt beside him, holding him up and patting his back, trying to help the cough. Moon Knight, you alright? Speak to me. Moon Knight was starting to calm down, but when he heard Naruto speak and look to him, he suddenly shoved the sun hero off him, having a difficult time getting onto his feet as he stood and knelt over, still hacking up a lung. Naruto stood up and came up close before the man started catching his breath. Who the fuck are you? And I'm not Moon Knight, the name is Mark. Having another heaving fit he started standing upright. Feeling his face he started tugging at the mask and hood. What the hell is this, what am I wearing? What did you put on me? This was a lot to take in. Moon Knight didn't know who he was. Did this have anything to do with his life power at all? Moon Knight, or Mark as he is saying, snapped back at him once the mask came off. I don't care if this thing was protecting me. Then he turned confused and shook his head. Yeah well screw you then. Who the fuck is talking? That brought Naruto even more questions. Was he talking to himself? Apparently so, as he huffed, trying his darnedest to take the armor off. Yeah, well, this thing ain't giving me any kind of comfort, whoever the hell made it. Finally bringing himself to talk, he came up, grabbing Moon Knight's arm, now free of the costume. What the hell is wrong with you? You're talking to yourself. Don't you know who you are? Who I am? Mark tore himself from Naruto and shoved him backwards, his training, which he forgot, still helping him and pushing Naruto on his back. I don't know you and I don't care. I'm Mark Spector, not some knight from the moon, you loony. Just stay the fuck away from me or I'll be calling the cops. Vigilante assholes. Finally free of the suit, he threw it to the ground and started walking off. Naruto could only stare as Mark, the man he knew as Moon Knight, just went off on him as if he had no memory of himself as a hero. Shaking himself off and seeing nothing else to do, the civilian behind the suit of Moon Knight, no longer capable of reason with him, he chose to just go somewhere and recharge. Heading to the top of a high building overlooking a large view to the east, he waited, thinking on the way Moon Knight acted. Ra explained it could have been a human disease. As the sun started to rise, he could feel the power returning to him. As he basked in the glow of his element, he heard footsteps behind him. Not many can't sneak up on me, spiders have soft steps, I see. Beside him sat Spider-Man, but not as he first seen him. This was a new suit. It looked like he went through his own fight during the night. The black suit did well to cover any real wounds, but there were still visible signs of being hit and cut from the white spider around his chest. Spider-Man just stared out along the horizon. Would have been softer if I wanted to interrogate you. That got Naruto's attention. I see, why would you want to question me? Spider-Man looked to Naruto, his eyes not letting emotion defy them. Hell's Kitchen, Moon Knight's mission on taking out a kingpin. He told me he was going to test out a new hero, one with a sunny disposition, and I immediately thought to you. The one I met during that bank robbery. Seems you've come a long way from robbers to full-time criminals. Shrugging at that, Adam sighed. I got tips, interrogated a few thieves, found out about a whole organization hitting the kitchen. Moon Knight was already on their trail, found me searching, and seeing as me and him have the same problem, he let me tag along. He was sizing me up, sending me in with him to fight some of the major criminals. Villains, rogues, whatever you call them. Spider-Man turned back to the sun and took a deep breath. I found his suit. What happened to him? This one was the question he had prepared for. Moon Knight being a prominent member of the heroes in town, friends to Spider-Man in general, he knew he had to come up with an answer. Dead, or at least in the manner of his memory. It seems he doesn't remember he was Moon Knight. It's like he turned crazy on me. Spider-Man scoffed at that, looking at Naruto like he was the only one making sense. He is crazy. Moon Knight's a loon. But he has always done the right thing. You didn't know. Didn't ask him, he didn't show signs before. The guy has several personalities, he's a shitso. It's a wonder they even let him register for the whole government act a while back. It would have been better for Naruto to have known that beforehand, but it made sense actually, it made sense several times over. Oh. Then I guess Moon Knight is dead. One of his other personas took over, I guess. I should probably start from the beginning. After a good 10 minutes of explaining their work, what they were going for, and about Bullseye taking on Moon Knight alone, whilst Naruto took on another opponent whom he did not digress information of yet, Spider-Man could only groan, rubbing his eyes. So apparently he's alive by a fluke. And has amnesia. This isn't good, we're down a member now. Moon Knight was going to help us find a link to Norman, the bastard. Silence was the only answer. For a good few minutes, Spider-Man contemplated his next question. Looking to Naruto, he chose to ask. Whose side are you on? You do know about the divided teams of heroes, right? You with Tony on being registered, or against it? Naruto looked to Spider-Man, clearly not expecting that question. After a minute and Ra explaining it all, he shrugged. Depends, which side are you on? Spider-Man looked back to the rising sun. Scowling, he groaned before he answered. After what Tony did to me, what he is doing to the good heroes who joined him, and the fact he is hiring villains who have done nothing but kill innocent people just because the government is scared, it's not right. Some heroes need to keep their identities a secret. Our masks need to hide more than ourselves, they need to hide our loved ones, those who cannot fight what we fight. Tony made me reveal myself, told me he could protect my family, told me if I didn't then they would be in jail, just because he knew who I was already. He's trying to control those under him, microchip mind control for everyone, even heroes who trusted him. It's sickening. Even after Captain America surrendered, he still is trying to force us to obey him, as if protecting innocent lives is wrong. Naruto could relate. He really could, but he knew not everything was black and white. Everything was as different as night and day, but just like the cycle of the sun and moon, there were periods of twilight. And this was the gray area that everyone didn't want to see. Taking a deep breath, Naruto stood up. You may not believe me, but I come from a different world altogether. Where the only power anyone has is that of their minds, their muscles, and of chakra, a spiritual energy of manipulation. I was a weapon to them. No matter what people who knew me for real did, I would always be a weapon to higher-ups. Some people wanted to coerce, to bend the shadows to their will, secretly trap others into doing what he wanted. He would do anything to get his way, even mind control he would kill to be at the top. Others would hide, try to make any deed that was good nothing but a scandal, to show it was just one person murdering an entire clan of people, just to protect the whole village, city even. Others would make bets, gamble on how they treated others, how they handled the bad in the world, try and control it or try and hide it, maybe even try and fight it freely. And still it wasn't enough. What in this world is as good or bad as a choice? One side or the other. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and that is what many of those people did. They paved the road to hell with the intent to save everyone. Only to hurt everyone in the end. They didn't mean anything bad by it, but they couldn't let things continue. They did what they believed in to change things for the better, for what they thought was best. Looking to Spider-Man, Adam looked serene as he explained. It's not about what Iron Man does, it's about what he believes. He is doing this for a reason, and it has to be a good one to fight so hard for it. But I agree, what he is doing, if you are right, is only going to tear the world in two. The world cannot be forced into fear and cages, it has to grow, to peacefully coexist by having hope, by doing what we believe in. I'll never join Iron Man, but I won't call him evil. But that he started walking off, hoping to turn in for the morning. Spider-Man stood up as well and turned to him. Wait, do you really think it's that simple? To just ignore what he has done? What about the people the hero is protecting by hiding? Naruto turned to him, not missing a moment. Then protect them. Don't let a mask stop you. Don't let it choose how your family lives or dies. Only you, as yourself, be if the mask or the face behind it, can't protect them. Walking off again, Naruto was about to fly off when he perked up. Oh, I forgot to mention the man I faced, who stopped me from helping Moon Knight. He's no ordinary man, he's a mutant. The reason I say this is because he resembles a man I once heard about. Someone with claws. Younger, bone claws, a mohawk, and has a healing ability. I cut him only to have the wound heal in seconds. Whoever this man is, I suggest telling Wolverine there's a new version of him in town. Have fun, Spidey. With that, his glider came to life and he blasted off with his boots on full power, flying off. He hoped Spider-Man would get the message to Wolverine because he felt that this Daken would not be hiding forever. It couldn't be simple for Naruto, his life would always find a way to become rather difficult and this month had been slowly growing worse. The first few robberies and back alley deals he stopped were just simple things to build his routine. As he was noticed by Moon Knight, he was growing further into stopping a threat he has only heard of. Then that night came to pass where he faced off against Daken. That was just yesterday, and now an old foe he faced was causing havoc yet again. This time, facing against a new opponent, another that the Avatar of Ra had only heard of. The sun was set and the night was his, as he took the responsibilities of Moon Knight in his stead. Hiding the wreckage of explosives around the street ahead, Naruto flew up to a low roof to oversee a park, one that was the arena for his old opponent and the new face he was to know. A man with a ripped jacket and bloody shirt was fighting off the gun-armed former CIA agent from the nights before, known as Bushwhacker. The man he was fighting had guns of his own and a large white skull on his shirt. Ra told him of this man, the one known as the Punisher. He wasn't a hero, but he was no villain. Flying in, Naruto shot out his twin snake grapples and clamped onto the Bushwhacker's gun arms, pulling them up and off from wrestling Punisher. This gave the Punisher enough give to tackle the villain and start punching him. Before long, Bushwhacker just changed and slammed Punisher off him when the grapples came off, knocking the man in black to the ground. Rushing him, the mutated villain clotheslined Punisher and sent him flying to the ground again before running for distance. You're gonna die tonight, that sun freak be damned. His arms becoming big cannons, he fired at Punisher, who was still on the ground. This was a foiled attempt, as Adam flew down and took the direct blast, though the force was enough to knock him back, flipping. Catching himself, the Avatar of the Ra flipped onto his feet by Punisher and huffed. Sun freak, great, and I thought I made an impression. Punisher pulled him back and grabbed his grenade launcher, firing at Bushwhacker. The villain himself jumped out of the way, taking dust as rain, but otherwise fine. Turning to his savior, the Punisher snarled. I told you to stay away from my fights, Moon Knight. And what the fuck are you wearing, you psycho? Naruto tossed Punisher's arm off him and glared back. I'm not Moon Knight, the name is Adam, and you better remember it. Also, Moon Knight is gone, take it up with the other heroes if you must, but the fact remains you need help here. They didn't have time to talk as Bushwhacker started firing into them again, forcing the Sun hero to push Punisher away and take the brunt of the attack. Thankfully his protective aura was keeping him from being injured. Bushwhacker turned his arms into a giant rocket launcher and launched said rocket his way. Take this, you freak. With little hesitation, Adam rushed forward, sliding under the rocket and grabbing its tail. As it pulled him, he used his jet boots to push the rocket up into the air and let go, letting it spiral high before exploding. As he started falling, the ninja opened his glider and flew right at Bushwhacker, who jumped out of the way. This gave Punisher a shot and grabbed his rifles, firing into Bushwhacker with little regard. The former CIA agent grabbed a nearby car and used its door as a shield. Damn it, fuck you heroes and your teaming up moments. Having to hurry, Naruto ran for the enemy he and Punisher faced, using his jets to gain momentum at the last second as Punisher's clips ran out and Bushwhacker was ready to fire his own weapon, another launcher. Just as he fired, the Shadow Warrior of the Sun dropped both elbows into his shoulders, causing him to slam to his knees in pain. The explosive he fired was only slightly off course, but enough on track to hit by Punisher and cause him to fly into some debris, getting stabbed through by metal and wood. Seeing this, Naruto grabbed Bushwhacker by the head and slammed it back against his knee, knocking Bushwhacker out and onto the ground. Racing up to Punisher, Naruto pulled him off the debris quickly. Seeing the wounds, Naruto attempted to heal him, only to find the power not working. Fuck. Punisher rolled over, grabbing his pack and glaring at his would-be partner. Just fucking kill the bastard. Forget about me. Seeing the man offer a gun, Naruto refused. He seen some medical supplies though, and instead took them. Stay still and let me save your grumpy ass, damn it. It was a few minutes, but Naruto could hear the police coming. Punisher groaned loudly and tried to get up. I gotta go, just forget it. It wasn't a secret, Naruto knew about the Civil War and knew that some heroes were hunted. Punisher, being who he was, probably wasn't going to be one of the accepted ones. Grabbing him, Naruto walked him out of sight. Is there a hospital you can go to? Someplace safe and to heal. Punisher groaned more, but decided they needed to hurry. Telling Naruto where to go, they managed to leave the area. Morning, 10 a.m. It was a long and busy night. Naruto had helped stop a robbery in progress, only to hear some fighting nearby and helped save Punisher, taking Bushwhacker down a peg or two. After getting Punisher to the hospital, one that would accept him without ratting him out, which it was a small clinic really, he went off and got some sleep. Waking up he knew he had to skip the hero stuff, he needed to start talking to people, building trust, building connections, something. Grabbing his old hood and cloak and a new pair of normal clothing, a dark orange with blue jeans, he started out of his hideout secret exit and went up for the beach. First thing was first, he needed to check on Punisher and maybe find out more about him and why he was so eager to kill and why he was so against Moon Knight or help in general. Humming to the hospital he used his forged papers to get in to see Punisher. As he was let in, he seen Punisher look his way. Who the fuck are you? I'm not receiving visitors. Having the nurse leave them alone, he stepped up. That's one hell of a way to thank the man who saved your ass last night. I figured my sunny disposition was plain as day. Then again, you did mistake me for the other half of the Egyptian avatars. Punisher glared his way. Don't expect a thank you. You gonna tell me you're some right hand of a god as well? Shrugging, the blonde came up close to the man. Well, in this world I've seen many powers. So I'm certain whatever I can do will be explained as a mutation. But yes, a god did chose me as their avatar, their champion. Mine is raw. But he did not give me my skills to fight. All he gave me was a few powers to help bring order and justice to the world. But that's nothing to talk about with the incredible things others can do. Regardless of what I know, you are welcome to your opinion. I'm no crazy, but you are if you think I'm going to let you tell me what makes me a lesser being than you. Which reminds me. With a harsh glare, the ninja turned into the warrior he was forged to be in his old world. You're going to tell me why you think others can die in fire without a care in the world. I am no stranger to death or murder, but you are no hero if you think civilians and like-minded individuals to the word justice are nothing but things to kill if they are in your way. Not letting that glare affect him, he noticed two things. The man before him had indeed seen his own share of hell, but also a glimmer of hope for the better future ahead. Deciding it was best to tell the truth, the man with the skull on his chest spoke with vindication. Because they are. I've helped many heroes, I've killed many villains, I've saved those in need and left corruption to rot. But when the world's problems don't go away because you ignore them or because you leave them chances to fester, you find it only hurts others in the end. Moon Knight and I had a team ready to take out a major threat, before that he was with Daredevil to take me out when I started giving up on the good guy routine. Glaring back at the blonde, the man just let loose. And it's best you do too, I helped Spider-Man when he was in a bind and for that I was given a chance to fight back against Iron Man's whole takeover, but because I didn't play by Cap's rules, he threw me away as soon as he got what he needed from me. It's best you don't stay naive, but I respect your resolve. Now get going, I've got nothing left to say about it. Turning to the door, Naruto knew he wasn't getting a single word out of Punisher. By the way, Frank, if I may be so frank, you are the naive one. Dropping to the level of ignorance and blind trigger fingers is to do the same thing as those you hunt. You yourself are corrupt for it. Think on that. But that, Naruto left. Seeing as it was a quick visit, he left to find someone who could help him. He needed better weapons and armor, he needed an edge if he was to continue striving to become a hero and ray of hope for this place. He knew just the material, just the help, but it would take some looking into. But in his mind, as he searched, he and Ra talked about the upcoming shitstorm he was about to become a part of. Wakanda is the only nation to never fall to any society. Even those who worshipped me attempted to take their land at one point, only to find themselves outnumbered and outmatched. Even technology you see today is nothing to what they have built. They were the first with working power, whilst historians would have you believe an Englishman who rejected the crown was the first to utilize electricity. Getting their help is a harder task than you might think, but if you can prove your worth to their king, maybe you will obtain the needed gear to fight those with better wits than Bushwhacker. The question was not, however, where can he find Black Panther, the king of the city himself, but rather how to get close to him to be noticed. He needed to see the Panther in order to get the materials and technology to further his goal as a hero and bring justice, but with him on missions with the Fantastic Four, he was several years away from entering the Baxter building on friendly terms. He needed a connection, something or someone to bring about the appointed judgment at some point. It took an hour past noon, but Naruto had an idea. Wait, isn't he married? To be a king you'd need a queen, right? If he's here, wouldn't she be too? Ra had thought of that, however, with Naruto also thinking about the Baxter building, he would have to shoot this idea down. He is married to a mutant, alias known as Storm. She is also with the Fantastic Four at this moment in time, meaning we are still at square one. Short of sneaking into the Baxter building, which is impossible for many, or heading to Wakanda, no guarantee they even let you past the gates, you're stuck. Naruto was a ninja, he knew how to sneak in and out of any system. He had to several times over, in his world and even in this one. He was no stranger to such a thing. But he knew he couldn't just sneak around or look suspicious, he was in civilian clothes with his face out in public, makeup covering his whisker marks. He had started growing a bear, actually, but it wasn't enough to cover the marks. Strangely enough, an opportunity presented itself. Upon happenstance, he noticed a flying woman above, and without hesitation, he integrated her features into his memory. It was Storm. Their entire walk so far, Naruto and Ra were heading away from the Baxter building, and apparently, so was she. It took half an hour to walk quickly in the same direction, but they managed to find the one place she was most likely to have went to. It was a big building with the X logo. Is this the whole political thing with the X corporation you keep yammering about? But the smile, Ra could only see good things coming for his champion. Indeed, though, I still think we need to proceed with caution. Entering this building will take finesse. Not as private as the Baxter building, but still very well guarded. Once inside, look for her. She would probably be in the office areas. Heading to the building, he noticed the security was ramped up more than he expected. Walking around for a few minutes, the blonde soon blended into a small group of tourists, a lot of them looking to want to hide. He figured they were mutants looking for protection. Seeing this as a way to get in, he figured he could use his facial features as a way to sneak in. Any indifference would do. As the group slowly showed a single mutation, he came up to the door. Being stopped, he was asked for identity. Showing his forged card, he was stared at. The guard noticed the lines on his face in the picture, but not on him. Seeing their scanning eyes, he rubbed some makeup off his face, showing the whisker marks, only one really. Seeing this, they allowed him passage. That was simple enough, but what he failed to know was, as soon as he entered the building, he was suddenly a person of interest. Within the building, someone noticed him, and he was far from safe. Moving through the building quietly and with purpose, he tried to keep suspicion off him as much as possible, looking at a few of the books in the library for a while. Finally reaching the upper levels, he found Storm, working with a few employees on a matter. Seeing her finished, he came up to her. "Hello, sorry for my interruption, but are you Storm?" The woman in front of him, dark-skinned and with bleached white hair, looked at him with a subtle curiosity, but no patience. "Yes, I am. What brings you to me? Do you have an appointment?" Shaking his head, Naruto smiled. "No, but we can talk about something like that later. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask a few things." That sentence came out wrong, but he needed as much information as he possibly could, and fast. Ever since floor 3 he's had this itch on the back of his neck, it was the same glare a hunter nin would have on him, analyzing his movements. He didn't know where or who, but someone was targeting him. He had to make this fast. "It depends, what would you like to know?" He could tell from her glare she was studying him. Her glare wasn't the one he was worried about, it was the one that was hidden, the one that felt more like he was a target rather than a curious subject. Taking a deep breath, he got to the point. "I'd like to know about the mutant gene and mutants in general. Ra had given him the general consensus, biological manipulation and such, but science was the forefront of everything. Orochimaru, as much a bastard as he was, he had information on everything, proving theories of bloodline limits versus those without. And these abilities sounded too much like them, and Ra only had information on abilities, mutants themselves, and that they were genetically different. Storm had changed posture, crossing her arms, she stayed neutral, almost robotic in her stature, as she became cautious and closed off. This is a matter easily picked up from a book in our library. Knowing he needed to tell the truth, Naruto kept going. A book can take time to read and understand. Besides, you're an expert, aren't you? You can tell me more than a book can, and in words I can understand. It would help me understand better and maybe help me try to make friends and allies later down the road if I know how to give them proper respect. Seeing she wasn't buying it, he knew he had to clarify. He wasn't lying, just telling half the story. Sighing, he decided to make it clear. Look, I'm just trying to find out what makes a mutant, why biology is so important, so that I can understand better about those I know with abilities that differ from normal people. It would be a way to connect to others if I knew more, to respect the mutant for being a mutant, instead of accidentally making them feel like a freak. I just want to know, maybe someone I met a while ago would have not wanted to beat me up if I had shown the proper respect. Storm had seen past his attempt to gather information without giving any, but now she knew he was up to something. He was talking as if he truly cared about the subject, as if he thought he was, but he didn't want to believe it. Denial, she had seen it often. Seeing the mark on his cheek, she noticed slight discoloration, makeup. He was hiding it, as all who were afraid did. Not easily trusting, the woman of weather didn't let her guard down at all, but opened up to the information asked. She explained as best she could the gene, and that is was dormant or active, that those with powers can still give birth to those without, and vice versa. It wasn't about who had powers, how strong, it was about their gifts, given to them to use for the better of all. It was something to think about, as the way she explained it gave Naruto a new view on it. It was all about the evolution and mutation of those with the mutant gene. Mutation, even on a benign level, was still considerably different than any normal being. After learning this, the blonde was questioning his world if bloodline limits were just mutations. It sounded almost too similar to let go, and he himself had a bloodline. Or he did, whatever he was now was what Ra gave him, but did that make him a mutant or was that taken away from him by Ra? Ra didn't answer that, but Naruto didn't need him to. Whatever he was now may or may not be a mutation, but who he was before clearly fit the bill. The blood inside his veins still flowed as in Uzumaki, even if that ability was now taken away. Champion of Ra or not, Naruto of Konoha was a mutant. He would have to think on this. As she finished, he smiled. That's a lot to take in, but I thank you for your time and patience. Clearly running out, as she had been since the start, Storm wondered why he was still there. Then you may leave. If there is nothing else, I have to talk to my husband later this evening. That was the perfect line to ask himself. Actually, I wonder, is there a way I can talk to him? I request an audience, it would be an honor to meet him, and I have a request to make. He could feel the eyes on him, from Storm and the mystery eyes, turned to daggers. And what would this request be? I highly doubt it could be important enough to stall any further my, or his, time. Bowing his head, Naruto decided it was best to leave. He did not feel safe. Sorry to have taken your time. All I can say is I have a request to make, anything further, I feel, would only cause problems. Trust is hard to come by, I think you can understand this. Have a nice day. Turning on his heels, Naruto started, as calmly as he could, to the doors out. As soon as he stepped out, he had hoped the daggers on his back would stop itching, but it only dulled. He still felt something watching him, someone was not leaving him alone. He was under a crossfire, he had no way out. He quickly walked as fast as he could away. For an hour of walking around, the blonde just gave up. If this pair of eyes decided he was too important a target to lose, he would go about his day. Sooner or later he was bound to grab attention in a negative manner, and he wasn't about to waste daylight playing hide and seek with this hunter. Figuring he needed information on some of the heroes he's met, as well as those he had only heard about, he decided to grab some papers. Reading into them, he noticed an older issue about the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn. After looking into the article, he figured if anyone had info on these powerhouses, he would have to see the man behind the article. Seeing the print, it was a man by the name of Ben Urich. Heading to the Daily Bugle, the blonde ninja was feeling itchy. He wasn't about to make a scene, but he wasn't going to shrink back to his base of operations without getting the information he wants to know about those around him. He needs to play the social game if he is to show the world he's here to stay. It was much easier getting into the Bugle, having to reapply his makeup to cover discoloration and the whisker. He was welcomed in as a civilian into the local lobby. Going to the desk, he requested Ben. The lady at the desk had a simple question as to why, so he decided to do something drastic. I'm here about this guy wandering around, Ben's article on Norman, it's wild, but he's got the right idea. I might have a lead on a new player. With that, she called Ben to tell him. Upon confirmation he was welcome to go, she gave him directions and a pass for the office areas, limited use and clearance. Going up, Naruto could still sense that presence. He could have sworn he was being hunted, a target to kill, but there were several chances for the attack to happen. Whoever it was, they wanted to know more. Or find something. Asking around the floor, he managed to find Urich, who apparently was packing up. Ben Urich. The man packing was a blonde with glasses, huffing as he put away a few files. Seeing his fellow blonde, Ben closed the box. So, a new player. There's been talk about this Moon Knight wannabe, a few random bits of heroism and a villain playing undercover. I'm guessing it's about the latter. Shaking his head, Naruto gestured to the seat, Ben nodded, so the ninja sat down. It's about the Moon Knight wannabe. He's no wannabe. Fixing his glasses, Ben grabbed his pen and paper, sighing. You know, when someone dresses in a similar manner, with a similar theme, in a similar style of fighting criminals, it tends to be called a copycat hero. Whoever this guy is, he's changed a few things, like a sun instead of moon, 2 sticks instead of a staff, but overall the consensus on the street is, he's some vigilante who's trying to get in with a loony. What makes you think he's not a wannabe? Naruto looked around a bit, but leaned in. Because he's a whole different breed. I think you've heard of the Hell's Kitchen War. Getting a nod, he continued. Do you have reports of flashing lights? Another nod. What if I told you that was not some flickering lampist, but rather his special power? Maybe his son Link is more to do with his unique special power. Okay, that got Ben's attention. There have been reports of bright flashes, one of the first instances of these was at a bank, suddenly a dude comes into the blinding rays of sunshine that popped out of nowhere and kicks some robber behind. You're telling me this is all his power? Moon Knight doesn't have this special power, he's a loony who thinks he's some kind of right hand of a god. So why would this sun hero have similar features? That was a hard one. In reality, his truthful explanation would sound crazy, but he knew it to be true. He would have to tread lightly. Maybe because he's just as crazy, but he seemed pretty right in the head to me. Maybe he's just limited in resources, or he finds Moon Knight to be an inspiration, crazy or not. Writing this all down, Ben had a sneaking suspicion in the back of his mind. This all sounded too much information on a random hero this early on, and your source. Sitting up, Naruto gave Ben a soft, but careful, stare. I was in Egypt, visiting some family. Figured I'd tour the sites. One day a large group of people came to town swearing they were freed by this hooded figure, someone who was Japanese. Then, I heard rumors of this Japanese guy just roaming around town, asking for several favors, paying in gold and jewels for things. The rumors were there, but soon trickled down. Figuring he either got robbed or died, I came back to the States. Before I knew it, there was a gang war a couple weeks back, he stopped it, I seen it. His costume had this symbol, Egyptian, on his chest. I thought there was a connection was all. That was a lot of information, and seeing as the sources were halfway across the world, Ben would have to take his word for it. So, mister. Seeing the question, the ninja spoke. Naruto. Naruto sounds Japanese and you seem to have a bigger grasp on this guy than anyone else. You sure you're not a fan of his, or maybe a friend of his? Ben was pulling hair, he could see it. Leaning in, Naruto whispered softly. What if I told you, I am him? That did it. But Ben didn't get this far by being careless. He would need more information, especially why he came to him. So you are how do you know all this, and why do you, as you said, look up to Moon Knight? Taking a deep breath, Naruto pressed on. I know all this, because I lived it. I saved those people, I came here, buying with gold and jewels the resources I could get my hands on. But it's not enough. Moon Knight is indeed not fully there, but he's a good person. And I don't believe he's a loon just because he believes he is the champion of a moon god. This was getting nowhere. Ben rubbed his eyes behind his glass, sighing. Not this again, no credibility, especially if you are this guy, talking like that just makes you another crazy, how is he the moon god's right-hand man? Shaking his head, the blonde ninja just sighed. That's just it. I can't explain, not without you thinking I am crazy. I'm far from it, I know it sounds nuts, that everyone, especially people like you, need tangible proof. I can't show my power to be proof of anything, so I'm not sharing it. Forget I even said a word about the crazy talk. All you need to know is I see Moon Knight in a different light. Yes, he's not all there, something up, he has schizophrenia, whatever, but I have my own reasons to believe he's not lying about the god of the moon choosing him. Whether you think I'm crazy for it or not, you have to believe me when I say I'm in my right mind enough to tell you that I am going to help the world. No matter how small I have to start, no matter how far down the chopping block, I will help this world, I will do what I can to protect the innocent. Now believe it or not, I came here to get some information so I can better know those I can trust out there. I trust Spider-Man and I think he trusts me. But I need to know who else I can trust, especially with this whole Civil War nonsense tearing good people apart. A mouthful would be an understatement, but Ben followed every word, saw in Naruto no stem of corrupt thought. He knew what he was talking about, he knew there was a difference between what he says and what truly is. Hearing about the Civil War, Ben leaned in close. Whose side are you on then? You with Tony? Huffing, Naruto sat back. It's complicated. I'm not with him, nor am I against him. There needs to be accountability, but it's the case with Spider-Man that shows that Tony, as right as he thinks he is by registering everyone, is wrong. But just because he's wrong, doesn't mean he's evil. He's just doing the wrong things to make the world better. I'm against what he is doing, not who he is. If I had been a part of this Civil War, I'd have joined Cap's side. Again, Ben saw in Naruto everything was clear, nothing was held back. He was all there, even if some things he said sounded crazy. He was at least conscious of himself. Nodding, Ben put his notes away. Alright. What do you want to know? Feeling the eyes on him still, Naruto was getting even more twitchy, but held it in. He needed to hurry. Moon Knight, or at least the one you know, is dead. The man behind the mask is still alive, his persona Moon Knight is dead. Before this, he was trying to give me some information, as well as put me through a trial, judge me as a hero. He told me about the whole fiasco with Daredevil and Murdoch. Ben's eyes snapped to attention, his scanning eyes, his looking glass just turned into a scope, he looked with a critical glare. What about it? Seeing this, Naruto kept cool under pressure. Murdoch is Daredevil, that's why he's in prison. In order to help him out, Iron Fist is going undercover as Daredevil to try and get Matt out of trouble. I hope it works out, but I need to know if I can trust you, trust Matt, and trust Iron Fist. I need to know who I can trust. That took Ben by surprise. Though he couldn't blame Naruto for wanting to know who he could trust, he certainly didn't like the fact Moon Knight had spoken so brazenly. Sighing, Ben wrote down a few things on a new piece of paper. You can trust those of us who have seen the error of the pro-registration side. If Spider-Man trusts you, if Moon Knight trusted you, I'll put my own in. But you better deliver, I don't give my trust freely. I want to trust you too. One foul up, and I guarantee you there are people willing to tear you a new mouth to breathe from. Giving Naruto the paper, he stood up. There. All you need to know. Find those, and you'll know who you can trust. Standing up, the ninja nodded, smiling. Thanks Ben. And don't worry, I'm with you guys. I just need to show it. Time will show you what kind of hero I am. With that, the hero left to ready himself for tonight. As he left, he felt the eyes on him continue to stare. He just couldn't shake the feeling he was watched. Going back to the beach, he walked the sea, just staring out. Whoever was watching was keeping their distance, but he knew his shadow was still there. Going through his back door exit, he quickly ran through the tunnels until he found himself back in his base, and he finally felt safe, even though he could swear whoever was hunting him knew. Something was wrong, and he wasn't about to head out without protection. Locking everything down, turning all the power off to his base, he hid in a dark corner and slept for the night to come. Sundown. Not able to sleep much, Naruto felt everything was fine. He needed Tom get back to work, even if he was being watched, and he didn't feel any eyes on him, he didn't feel like he was being hunted at the moment. For a brief moment, he felt the need to hunt himself. But he would have to later. Gathering his gear, Adam left the base and started roaming the alleys, racing further into the city. But his time to contemplate his next move was interrupted as he heard a cry nearby. Seeing what looked like a trap spring, a net which had caught a black and white costumed woman flung past the alley into the in-between of a four-skyscraper alleyway, stuck on the wall with a spear. Hiding in the shadow, Adam could only watch as another figure jumped on the nearby roof above him, a woman in black with a furred collar. The one she caught, it looked a lot like Spider-Man, black with white spider and webbing along the limbs, spiraled and reached out to the feet and fingers. Wait, Spider-Man wears that uniform, but I last seen him in bays ago. Who the heck is this, and what the hell is going on? The woman above him moved closer to the spider. It took some time, but I finally managed to lead you to my trap. You may not want to go, but I cannot let you survive. My father would only be disappointed in me if I failed to bring you for the sacrifice. Sacrifice? That did not sound good. Though what surprised him was the spider was not a man, but a woman. She spoke out in aggravation. You can rot in hell. Watching as the black costumed spider struggled with the net surrounding her, the champion of Ra watched as the woman above jumped to the spider heroine, grabbed the net and jumping off. This was where he came in and jumped from the shadows, quickly gaining on the two women in front of him and swiped his Eskrima at the captor. Apparently, she had enough of a sixth sense to jump out of the way, stopping on the edge of the roof they were on. The blonde-haired captor glared at the newly arriving hero. Who are you to disturb the hunt? I have not heard of a man who dresses as brightly as the sun. Standing up, gearing his gauntlets with spiked discs, Adam glared back. I'm just the newest hero in town, and you can call me Adam. Now, if I am not mistaken, this chick isn't Spider-Man, and I've never heard of a black costume Spider-Woman, so mind giving me some help here? The spider heroine snapped. It's Spider-Girl for God's sake, and I would appreciate it if you could stop chatting and get me out of this net so I don't become worm food. Walking forward, Naruto tried to talk this one out. He didn't know who was who on what side, seeing as there were several here. Look, we're all civilized adults here, let's just talk this out, what do you say, miss? The blonde just glared his way. I'm about 12 and I have more tact than you. My name is of no importance. With the knowledge of her age, Naruto could only slump and look at her incredulously. Sure, Spider-Girl was petite, but that could be body type. This girl was 12 and looked like a young adult, as tall as Spider-Girl and everything. She did not look her age. He remembered his younger days when facing against someone similar. You're shitting me, come on, I have to face another talented fighter who's younger than me. For Kami's sake, he could only imagine Kakashi's stupid eye popping up like a smile. His only expression was that one eye and brow raised to be happy, and right now it was in the back of his mind telling him, look underneath the underneath, and it bugged him to no end. Just as he was done glaring at her, she jumped off the roof, and this caused him to jump into action, propelling himself forward and down, grabbing the net Spider-Girl was in before the younger kid dropped and used his disc to cut the net open, freeing Spider-Girl. The child rolled away and jumped forward, catching herself and flipping higher onto the alley's fire escape. You dare interfere with my mission? Then so be it, you will die failing to save this arachnid, she will be sacrificed, whether you like it or not. Grabbing Spider-Girl and helping her up, Adam pulled her behind him and looked to her. You alright? Rubbing her arms a bit, the heroine pushed him out of the way. Out of the way, she's mine. Adam groaned at that, glaring at her. Look, I just saved you, and I'm not saying stay back, but damn your stubborn pride, we need to work together, and you need to get your bearings. Glaring back at him, Spider-Girl grabbed his collar. And you stay the fuck back, I'm taking Anna down, and her whole Kravna family, they are not going to kill off Spider-Man or Spider-Woman, I'm gonna tear her apart, so just stay back and watch the real heroes do it. Rolling his eyes, the blonde noticed Anna no longer on the escape. Looking up, he saw her dropping down. Gladly, just watch. Quickly, Adam grabbed the heroine and propelled them away just as Anna dropped down, stamping where the two had just been. Landing, the black spider shoved Naruto off her and ran after Anna, jumping up and spitting web from her hands, catching the escapes and pulling herself, slingshotting at Anna. This was a mistake as Anna flipped under Spider-Girl and grabbed her by the head between her legs, flipping from the momentum and trapping the heroine under her, slamming her into the ground. Naruto knew this girl was no slouch, as young as she was she shown tactics and calm execution, much like a hunter nin. He knew he had to stop powering through, he needed combat. Thinking of his world, thinking of his past, his training came to mind. Sure, he was holding back, and his powers now were crutches, he practiced them, but he needed to stop showing his power and start showing his skill, especially with this enemy. As the young hunter trapped Spider-Girl's arms behind her to keep her from firing any more web, Naruto quickly raced for her. Seeing this, Anna flipped upward, pinning the heroine she was capturing as she did so, pulling her up with the momentum of her flip and using her as a shield. This proved ineffective against Naruto, whom grabbed Spider-Girl, pulled her aside and grabbed Anna by the hair, pulling it back and exposing the neck enough to slam the side of his hand in a chop to the nerve of her neck, causing her to let go and flex in an awkward way. Pushing the heroine he was saving back, he rushed Anna with a powerful punch to her stomach. This was where the fight got truly difficult, as Anna was in her element in a one-on-one fight, grabbing his fist and skidding back from the force, but otherwise trapping Adam's hand in her own. Twisting his arm, she bent him down and snap-kicked him in the head, causing him to flip backwards as she twisted his arm the other way and pinning him by his arm and neck with her heel to his neck. The sun was still out, Naruto felt the full force of her blow, as his aura of defense was yet to activate. Using his other arm, he swung and slammed the back of Anna's knee, causing it to bend just enough for him to pull her, using her own grip as an anchor, and grab her arm. Stamping his legs to the ground, Adam pulled with all his might, lifting Anna in the air, and attempted to slam her against the ground. Again, the young hunter had experience, and she knew how to counter those getting out of her traps. Slamming her leg into the ground, she created a leverage point to keep from leveling on her back, enough so that she could continue to hold on to the one she fighting. This was to prove ineffective, so she let go and slammed her knee and elbow into Adam's arm, cutting off his grip and kicking herself away. Not out of the fight herself, Spider-Girl shot webbing at Anna's feet, catching her to the ground. Turning to see the heroine, Anna turned and quickly snapped a kick into the woman's stomach, knocking her back. Grabbing her knife, the huntress cut the webbing and dodged out of the way of Adam's drop kick, having launched himself to gain momentum. As he landed, the ninja hero used his momentum to roll forward and launch at Anna, who had backed up. Catching himself, he grabbed onto the ground and twisted himself, kicking out with a helicopter kick. Anna, being surprised by the maneuver, could only block as the kick landed against her arms and sent her into the wall. Catching herself, she ducked under Spider-Girl's kick and swept for the heroine's legs, only to have the spider jump and grab the fire escape, launching back down with hammer strike with her arms out and hands connected. This was foolhardy, as the young child hunter raised a leg up at the heroine, slamming her heel into Spider-Girl's stomach and causing her to gasp for air. Tossing the costume spider to the side, Anna turned to the attacking Adam, who changed tactics, once again surprising her. With bright flashes covering the area, Anna covered her eyes from the sun pellets flashing brightly, blinding anyone in the area. All but Naruto, who got behind her and grabbed her arms, pinning them behind her. Anna used her senses to try and struggle, only to have him slam her to the wall and keep her pinned, even crossing her legs and pinning them with his leg. As her vision cleared, she struggled, trying to find a way out. Though Naruto kept hold. "You're feisty, I'll give you that. Tenacious, strong, fast, skilled. But you've got one thing against you, and that's passion. You've got all this talent and no emotion behind it. Whatever your reason for fighting, it's enough to take out those who have lesser skills, but when someone like me comes along, you find yourself beaten." Groaning in frustration, Anna tenses every muscle, uses all her strength, and pulls a leg free, snapping it out and slamming it into Naruto, causing him to falter in his grip, enough to push off and twist free, elbowing him in the head. Finally coming out of the hold, Anna pushes off the wall and slams her newest free leg into the Sun Ninja, slamming him up against the other wall. Though when she rushed him, she found herself punching through him, his body fading from view and a torrent of paint coloring her body from head to toe. As she shook herself of the dripping, she noticed she looked like a bright clown, and her outfit ruined by slander and weird drawings, almost looking like a weird clown. Behind her, Anna could hear Pain laughing, and looked behind her as Spider-Girl held her stomach on her knees as she was still recovering. Looking around, she found a mirror nearby and went to it, being careful. Looking at the mirror, she noticed on her back a big yellow face with whiskers and kitty face giving a weird face, taunting her. Hearing clapping, she looked up to see Adam chuckling. "You know, you look like a grown woman, you sound like a grown woman, and you fight like a grown woman, but you're still a kid. Maybe you should have some fun, go home and play with dolls, because you sure dress like one if you look like that. What, daddy not dress you properly?" Looking over herself, Anna could only snarl as she tried to wipe it all off. Before she could really get mad, however, Naruto took this distraction to jump in and slam his tasers against her shoulders, shocking her into unconsciousness. As she fell flat, he caught her at the last second and laid her against the wall. Sighing, he pat his hands together, a sign of dusting his hands of this fight. Turning and heading to Spider-Girl, as she stood up, he caught her just before she fell again. "You okay? She got you pretty good." Shoving him off her, the heroine stood on her own, groaning as she held her ribs. "I'm fine, I've had worse, so who are you, huh? New personality there, you schizophrenic freak. I didn't know you could manipulate light and I thought you were the moon guy, not the sun guy. What's with the costume change, Mark?" Naruto huffed at that, crossing his arms. "You know, just because I have a suit with a celestial body as a theme doesn't make me Moon Knight's freaking sidekick or his new alias. Honestly, I've been getting that everywhere. The name is Adam, if you must know, and Moon Knight is dead." Though he could hardly see it, Spider-Girl looked at him with confusion. "Really? Well, Adam, who are you? I didn't see any newly registered heroes." That was a clue, one Naruto picked up on instantly. "So, you with Iron Man, I'm guessing." Getting a nod, he sighed. "I'm unregistered, the fact I'm unregistered has more to deal with my past and where I was born and not about family issues. But regarding this law, it's a dumb one. Iron Man's chosen a wrong outlet for helping innocent lives from masked villains. But regardless, I think you can forgive me if I say I'll continue to be unregistered. It's illegal, I know, but it's better than the alternative at the moment." Seeing Anna knocked out and the broken rib she has, she knew after a long day chasing the huntress around, she was in no condition to fight Adam if he resisted her obligation to turn him in for being an unregistered hero. "Well, I'll let you off the hook this time, but I'll be giving Iron Man your name and costume. I don't agree with him on some things either, but if it means I can fight people like Anna here and not get caught up by politics or former allies, then it's better than the alternative. Watch yourself, I recommend changing your tone and tune before someone in better condition comes to lock you away." Walking off, the black spider started her way back, grabbing Anna and dragging her along. Watching this, Naruto huffed, looking himself over in the mirror Anna looked at. "I might have to change the look a bit, I do look a bit like him, maybe some actual blending in will do." Looking at the paints he used from the upper fire escape, Naruto could only grin and chuckle at himself. "Good thing I found those, I can't believe that worked." I should probably try to lighten things up, maybe prank Iron Man one day. As serious as this business is, I think I need to go back to my roots. As he grappled away and up to the rooftops, the sun set, his body shimmering as the light faded to darkness. Ra could only smile and think to hate himself about Naruto's plan to be a prankster hero. It sure would be a nice change, though I wonder how Spider-Man will take you being such a playful hero, as he himself was once. Midnight, Daily Bugle. Packing boxes into his car, Ben Urich finalized the spacing so he could see his rear view better without anything obstructing him. As he closed the door he heard someone behind him. About time. I was about to drive off. Turning, he looked to see a woman with brown hair and glasses wearing a business suit and skirt, carrying a briefcase. "You were the one who called me up for midnight. What's the scoop?" Turning to his old partner, Ben grabbed his glasses, cleaning them with a napkin. "There's this guy who visited me today. He knew about Matt, knew about Iron Fist, and even knew about why Iron Fist was even going through with a costume change. He says he's not with Tony, and if what he says is true, then we could use his help. There's something off about him, he's got this weird belief about Moon Knight and himself. It's like they both went to Egypt and just suddenly went mad from the desert's heat." Huffing at that, the woman walked up to Ben. "Alright, so there's two crazies out there. I've been hearing about this guy who looks like some son version of Mark, but if he's just as crazy then I think we'd better leave him to Tony." Looking to the side, Ben nodded. "You gonna help me here?" The woman looked with Ben to see a dark costumed hero come from the shadows, pointed ears and golden accents. "Well, Panther. Tell her what you told me." Without hesitation, the Black Panther spoke to the woman. "Jennifer, this man, whoever he is, isn't crazy. He snuck into the X-Corporation building me and my wife were in, as a civilian. He used makeup to hide facial features that made him look different. I've talked to the guards, and we'll be beefing up security. The point is, he hasn't shown any mental incapability, any reason to believe he is crazy. He knew I was tracking him from the moment he came into the building to when I tracked him to his base off the beach. He led me across several blocks, taking every possible route to lead me astray and hide before coming to see Ben. And then again before he went to his base." Ben nodded and explained further. "He told me he knew it sounded crazy, that he believed Moon Knight wasn't crazy for thinking himself the right hand of this Khonshu character. But he knew Mark was not right in the head. He didn't strike me as the crazy type, especially how he knew what he was saying sounded like it. If he is telling the truth, we might need to look into it further. If he isn't, we might need to take care of this issue before he tears apart our little alliances from the inside. Peter himself trusts him, as he has said. Though I haven't been able to talk to the spider to verify." Seeing the two so hung up on this guy, Jennifer knew they were taking this seriously. Ben wasn't one to take things lightly, and if he was calling her up in the middle of the night for this, it meant he believed this new guy. If he did, then she would have to investigate. "Fine, I'll look into him. Have his name?" Ben grabbed his notes and gave her the page he wrote on. "Some background. But it's weird, nothing came up from my contacts. When I pulled a favor to look into a Japanese ethnic named Naruto, the only thing that came up was an Egyptian passport a while back, when Cap died. He seems to have been telling the truth, but he's given so little information it's almost making me nervous." Jennifer looked at Black Panther. "You said you located his base, have his location." The dark hero grabbed a data disk from his pocket and gave it to the woman. "It's within this range. I marked the entrance he took, but he's closed it off, there's some interesting traps. I had the urge to bypass them, but without knowing more about him I stayed my feet. I have a feeling this new hero isn't an enemy, but I have been wrong before." Pocketing everything, the brown-haired woman looked at Ben. "So, going to tell me why you're packing? Do I need to use my lawyer skills to check your employment contract? Or are you just taking work home?" Seeing as his part was done, the Black Panther leaped off, leaving the two to talk. Ben shrugged. "I was going to be sacked anyway, I might as well go. I gave my notice, I have a few more documents to collect tomorrow, as well as my favorite chair. After that I'm off the bugle. Thanks, though. I just hope I can finally get the real news out on this website newspaper someone told me about." Smiling, the lawyer decided not to press further. "Well, see you around, Ben. And good luck." With that, Jennifer started taking a walk, looking at the notes whilst Ben got in his car and started home. As she looked at the notes, Jennifer couldn't understand why Egypt seemed to be some mystical place people turn mad in. Sure, Ben said he trusted the guy, but after Mark Bushman and now this Naruto fellow, she couldn't figure out why he would say Khonshu's influence might be real. "Might have to ask him myself when I find him, though Moon Knight's not been seen for a while and this guy's been running around more and more lately. I get the feeling this man has something to do with Mark's sudden vanishing act." Shield Helicarrier. Sitting in the med bay, the unmasked Spider-Girl sat there with gauze covering her chest. The door opened to Tony Stark coming in. Anya, the girl you brought back is in custody for now. But you told one of the operatives there was an unregistered mask running around. Spider-Girl groaned as she turned to him, trying to stay relaxed. Yeah, he kind of saved my life back there. If it wasn't for my injuries and the running around I had to do chasing Anna, I'd have tried bringing him in. He's not going to register, or so he said. Seeing as he couldn't exactly berate her for her decision, he did want details. Who is this mask? We'll find him and bring him in then. Anya took a deep breath. He's going by the alias Adam. Whether that's his name or not is beyond me, but he wears this golden and red costume with Egyptian symbolism and an eagle and sun on his chest. Some bird mask as well. It's like Moon Knight's costume, but themes with the sun and a few various changes, but still look similar. With that, Tony went to leave. Rest up. With that, he left her to recover. Sitting alone, Anya could only think about the masked sun hero. So, Peter was talking about him, huh? I wonder why he gave him the thumbs up. Oh well, doesn't matter. Tony's got him in his sights now. Regardless of Adam being a hero, my duty is here and he isn't registered. Extra scene. Potential future. Hiding within the wreck of a Quinjet, a green-muscled hero was cooking something with low-powered electrical energy. Beside her, looking out the cockpit window covered in snow, a dark cloak wrapped around a dull golden stripped uniform. You know what will happen if we do that. Humming, the cloaked figure put his binoculars down. Probably, but it's better than nothing. We need to find a way in. Without that, we're just stalling for time. He's made the city impenetrable, he shot down several of our craft, and we've barely escaped. Vision is taking his sweet time, too. Standing up and bringing the open can to the cloaked figure, the green hero sat beside him. We're losing eyes everywhere. You really think we'll beat him? He killed everyone we cared about, all our friends. Without Steve, without Pim, we're just waiting for him to find and kill us. Taking his mask off, the cloaked figure sighed, rubbing his spiky hair. You're throwing in the town already? That's not the green powerhouse I know and love. Grinning, brushing her fingers through her short-cut green hair, she hulked her energy bar. Yeah, well there's more to me than muscle. And what brains I got, every thought is about saving my little girl. Eating his soup, Naruto looked at She-Hulk sadly, his blonde hair, streaked with gray, flowing over his eyes. You ever wonder what it would have been like if this future never came to pass? Huh, Jennifer? Scoffing and looking off into space, she glared, as if at someone not there in the Quinjet. The narrator of this twisted future sure has a sense of drama. If he only knew what I would do to him in a court of law, given a court and judge to sue him for giving us this much trouble, I'll only have to settle for breaking his balls whenever we have the time. Well, not saying it isn't twisted, but there's been a lot of good things I myself wouldn't want to give up. Even if I had to deal with this future again. Besides, what's the worst this narrator can do to us? Trap us in a cage. Well put, Naruto. Soon, however, the Quinjet powered up. This caused Naruto to grab his mask and stuff it on. Crap, ready to run like hell. Without even needing further questions, She-Hulk burst open the roof of the crashed plane and grabbed Naruto. Just move. Racing along the frozen lake, the duo dodged lasers firing at them from the city, several sentries of their enemy coming to kill them. Flying with his jet boots alongside a jumping She-Hulk, Naruto could hear the green-muscled woman beside him scream. You just had to ask, didn't you? What if ANBU Naruto in Marvel Universe end here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.